Hello, everyone. Can you hear me and see the video at this point? Let's just make sure. Yeah, okay, they said yes. They can hear us.
Let's just make sure.
And turn down your audio.
Yeah, okay,
I can hear myself. Somebody on the call here has their audio on.
Oops. Sorry.
Okay. So on this call, you guys I had you guys watch the case of Nanette Krentel, where she was burned and murdered, is what the ruling has been by the medical examiner and the police at this point, in a fire. I think it was back on July 14th, 2017. And hopefully you guys went and watched those documentaries. But with me today are Lori Rando, is that right? Maybe you guys can introduce yourselves.
Are we supposed to be hearing Gary right now? I mean, Gray?
Yeah. You can't hear me? Oh, you can't hear me?
Okay. Because I can see his lips moving. I just can't hear him.
Oh, maybe they
I know,
can't.
me too.
Hey, hold on.
Okay.
Okay, you guys can't hear me? Can you hear me right now? Can you hear me right now? Wow, what happened? Can you hear me now? How about now? Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Oh, wow, I don't know what happened there. I had to keep switching it off the driver. Okay, yes, my lips were moving. Were you guys not able to hear me that whole time I was talking? That's hilarious.
right.
No, I had it unmuted, but he was just introducing the case that he had his viewers watch the documentary.
Yeah, so right
About
now,
Nanette.
they're all listening to us right now even, too. All right, so why don't you guys introduce yourselves? All right? Go
Okay,
ahead.
I'm Gina Watson. I'm Nanette's cousin on her dad's side.
And
Kim Watson, Nanette's sister on her dad's side.
And Lori Rando. I was a high school friend.
All right. Now, which one of you is going to sort of refresh the case for the viewers who may not have done their homework and watched the show like I told them to? Is it going to be you,
You want me
Gina?
to start?
I guess. Go ahead, Kim.
Well, July 14th, 2017, the first we heard of anything, my dad called. He said that Steve had left him a voicemail, and Steve was Nanette's husband. Had left him a voicemail. It was about 6:30 at night, and Dad said he called Steve back, and Steve had told him that Nanette was the victim of a house fire, and that was how we heard that she had died. He also mentioned to Dad that he had hoped the case wouldn't be talked about on Facebook.
Yeah. Hey, listen, I apologize for when the Moonwalker is going to come onto the screen because I even explained it to him. I explained it to him before the show, okay? I don't know how to turn the damn thing off. I went and tried, okay?
Okay.
So when people subscribe,
That is
there's
awesome.
a Moonwalker, okay? That's how I do it on my normal show. So this is a casual show here. So let's just, so they continue on with what you were explaining there.
Okay, and so we weren't sure if we needed to do anything. We got a hold of Nanette's younger brother on her mom's side, Chad, and he said that the coroner was wanting Dad's DNA to help identify her remains. So we got in the car early the next morning and drove down to Louisiana, and on Monday Dad gave his DNA to help identify her remains. And it kind of just went on from there. We went over to the scene, over to the house, and nothing was blocked off. We were able to just drive right in. Surprised me a little bit. I was able to take pictures. We were kind of wandering around just looking at everything. in a little bit of shock. And Steve came out of the outbuilding that was still standing and didn't have any damage to it. We didn't know he was there, and then he kind of showed us around, and then Justin and his wife showed up a little bit later. Justin is Steve's son and that stepson, and they just were kind of digging through stuff and showing us where her body had been found, and that's about it for that day.
Yeah. So what? Maybe you guys can tell us how this. What made you guys suspicious right at the beginning, and what led through that? Because I don't think a lot of people. I mean, if they didn't watch the show, they're not going to have a. They'll just think, "Oh, wow, it was a house fire," and or well, here's the thing: is they ended up finding her with a gunshot wound to the head. Where did the bullet go into her head, by the way? You guys still there? Can you hear me?
In the back.
So
in the back of her head.
Yeah, see, I read that too, but then another place it said something different. So when you say back of the head, where exactly in the back of the head? Mike?
More
Right behind the ear, right?
Behind her ear.
Mm-hmm. That's kind of a weird angle to shoot yourself, right?
Mm-hmm.
And because of the fire, I don't know if you read the doctor's report, because of the fire, it was kind of hard to tell the exact angle, because the fire could have caused a little more damage and disrupted that path a little bit. But yeah, the bullet was found, kind of caught in her collar of her shirt and her hair, and towards the back on her neck there.
So where did the bullet exit?
It didn't exit. It actually got lodged in the soft tissues of her neck on the other side.
Oh, I see. So it
Yeah,
kind of went down,
got hung up.
Kind of a downward angle behind the ear.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And so.
And we had heard.
Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, sorry.
No, go ahead.
We had heard about the gunshot. Gina had sent us a link. We were all getting ready to leave for the funeral at the hotel and just kind of waiting to go. And Gina found a link and sent it to us from someone who did a blog, and it was supposedly a leaked article or information saying that she had been shot. And that was the first we heard of it. And then we called Steve and then sent that link to him as well. And then, went over to
that
the
was right before the funeral. Mm-hmm.
Okay, I'm sorry. I'm going to kind of jump in here. So this is Lori, and Wednesday, before her funeral, so it was the Wednesday.
Can you do the dates?
The fire.
Can you
okay,
the dates of her? Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, so
July 20th.
Okay, thank you. So July 20th. I live in Texas, and I was driving into New Orleans, and I got a Facebook private message from a girl that Nanette and I had gone to high school with. And like I said, this was Wednesday, and she said, I'm afraid to tell you this, but a friend of mine works for the insurance investigator that is working the scene, and he said that she was found with a gunshot wound to her head. And unfortunately, I was not surprised in the least. Not at all. I was not shocked one bit. I didn't say anything to anyone at the funeral. Well, it was a memorial service, and we all gathered in a building behind the church after the memorial service, and it was there that they released it to the public. So they had heard on Friday morning, her family, but we were told, I was at least told on Wednesday, that it had leaked that Wednesday that she was shot.
And so
the sheriff officially announced it right after the funeral or the memorial service on July 21st at about, what was that, 2 in the afternoon or?
No,
later,
about
maybe
4.
4 in the
Yeah,
afternoon?
a little bit later.
Okay.
Mhm.
Yeah. So the
Just so
thing-
they can
yeah.
make the 4 o'clock news.
So the thing is they find her in there burned, and her pets were killed also in the fire, right? And the thing is her husband's a fire chief, and the house burned so completely. That's one thing when I look at the pictures, I think, wow. I mean, it's like, when you get fires, people get out there and you put them out and they're still part of the structure that looks pretty good.
Right.
I mean, this one looks like it was just incinerated. I mean, literally. So who would know how to do that? You might ask yourself. All right. Okay. Back to you guys.
Well, where do we go from here? So
Do we back
everybody's
up
at the
to
funeral.
Yeah. You could be at
her post?
Well, I guess, yeah, we could back up to the couple of weeks before she died and the things that we knew were going on.
And are these those posts that you were talking about, those text messages? Maybe I can load some of those up.
Yeah.
Like this. I think this is the first one you have in there. What is it in the text messages that you want to point out to people? That because they're not going to have time to read it right now, but I can make them available or show them each of them on the video, and
Right.
can look at them. But
So
Well, we can look
Nanette
at this one with... Go ahead, Kim. I'm sorry.
Nanette told Dad everything. She talked to him all the time. I mean, a couple times a week or more, depending on, what was going on in her life. I mean, she would send emails, and then she would call, and she kind of would journal her days and Christmas, any event that was going on, send pictures of her pets. I mean, she told Dad everything. And so he had just gotten off the phone. You can see, hopefully he doesn't care his text to me, showing what he had just talked to her and was like, hey, just send her a quick message, let her know that you're just thinking about her. She's just having a rough time with Brian, who was Steve's brother, had been threatening her. And so I sent her a message, virtual hug, like, I hope everything's okay. And she went on, when I got home from work, I texted her a little more, and she went on to say that Brian had been threatening her. She was afraid that he threatened to kill her and burn their house down. I mean, and then this happened. It's crazy. And you can see her the text that Dad sent to me, and then...
Is that what the one that you were just looking at? Was that... Who's the green here? It's hard to tell who's being texted to.
Okay, so these are all off of my phone.
Oh, your phone.
I
Okay.
hope there's not a lot of cursing in there. I apologize if there is, because I do that.
The green
Those
is
are-
Kim and the gray is
Yeah.
Dan.
Okay. So I think I don't know if I have these. I think they're in order.
Yeah.
Let me sort them by...
Yeah.
Yeah, it
Okay.
looks like they are.
Okay. So maybe you can go through these if you want. Explain them. Or heck, why don't you... Maybe you can even read them. If you want. And at least
I can read the ones, because the screenshots, some of them have something to do with this, and the other ones are just like previous. But the one that he sent there, I think it says May 19th, that Brian... Hey, quiet.
Oh, yeah, by the way, she has
Brian
3
had-
dogs there. Okay.
Yeah. I knew they would wait until it was quiet and we were trying to talk. They would do that. He said that, misspelled Brian, but Brian was threatening Nanette, constantly saying he's going to their house. And, they were just saying, hey, we want you to get along with him. Can't we just let it go? That kind of thing. Text her, let her know you're thinking of her. Something to know that I haven't forgotten her, which I thought, well, I never forget her, but I'll do that. Okay. And then that's the only one that has anything to do with her.
This is with Nanette and gray and Kim and blue.
Yes.
Gray?
Yep. That's not the
Me?
first one, but that's
And-
okay.
Oh, Gray. I thought you said my name. I thought you said.
Oh, sorry, right.
This is with Nanette, with Gray, and with Blue. And Blue's my
Yeah,
dog.
Nanette.
No, here's what's weird. Listen to this.
We'll start a whole other conspiracy theory there.
Yeah, listen to this. My dog's name is Blue. All right. So for a second there,
Oh.
it sounded like it was all
that's
about your.
hilarious.
That was actually kind of funny. Wow. All right. Okay. So what? Is there a particular text that's saying anything ominous that we can go to?
This one here, I want to point out, Nanette, like I said, is in the gray colored box. It says, I told Steve I will not tolerate it, and if he does not do something want him to leave. It's difficult, but right is right. This is important because, and you can't see the date on this one, but it is within a couple weeks of her death.
Okay.
And the last conversation that Dan remembers having with her, she said she was going to take the weekend and talk with him and decide what the future was going to hold. And that's honestly the last time he ever spoke to her.
Yeah. Let's see. Should have to be careful. So it sounds like maybe she believed that she was being taken to dangerous, rides or whatever, different types of events. So almost like she thought maybe they were going to do something to her and make it seem like an accident, right? Is that true? Or?
Right. Well, Brian, maybe Kim can explain Brian a little bit and what Steve was kind of. Steve was trying to get her and Brian together more.
Okay, now Steve, when they keep
Yeah.
saying Steve, that's the husband of Nanette.
Mm-hmm.
He was the fire chief, and Dan is Nanette's father, right? Is that correct?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. And let's see what this one is. How much people are being a-holes. Let's see.
I tried not to curse with her a lot because she didn't seem to she didn't do a lot of cursing. So, and that's
She's explaining here what she thought of Brian, that he did synthetic drugs. He's dirty. He's diseased. He sleeps with all these women. I mean, he's not a good character. He's threatened them in the past, and in the past few weeks at the time that these were written, Steve was all of a sudden trying to be buddy-buddy with Brian again and get her to hang out with, come on, come to Mother's Day, come to Father's Day dinner. Brian's going to be there.
Yeah.
And she's like, absolutely not. I will not be in the same room with this person. And she couldn't believe that Steve was trying to force her into that.
Yeah, so isn't the brother the one that at one point, if you watch the documentary or whatever you call that on People Magazine, that he had an ankle bracelet, something like that? Yeah.
Yes, he had one on at the time of the funeral.
Right, but what was weird
And
is
Nanette
it wasn't
believed
on.
that it had GPS tracking, but it did not.
Yeah, well, it wasn't even connected. I guess it was supposed to, right?
Right.
But it wasn't turned on
Right.
when it was put on. See, isn't that incredible? Like law enforcement put a GPS tracking monitor on somebody, but then the one thing they needed to do was to turn it on to have it actually be meaningful. It's like, what a joke. I mean, you got to admit that's what it's for, right? You're supposed to turn it on so then you can actually track the person. So the whole time he was wearing it, maybe it worked slightly because he thought it was working, but they have no information on where he was going or anything. So he could have been at the house, but they won't have that information.
Well, when we talked to the detectives about it, they said that there's video of Brian at his mother's house all day
on
the
surveillance.
14th.
Yeah, that was in the documentary.
Mm-hmm.
But let's
But
just
he
say
did
that,
show up at the scene of the fire, and
yeah?
there was no beep, 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 hey, my bracelet's going off,
Yeah. So he's been pretty much cleared, right? The Brian?
Yeah, pretty much.
What we were told is he was cleared by a polygraph.
But also he was on footage during the time, right? Like on surveillance camera over at his mom's
Right.
house.
I'm hoping that it was looked into to make sure that the date and time and everything on that camera was correct. When we asked that, I think they were still looking into that.
Yeah. See, basically,
Yeah, when we asked that
yeah.
a few months ago, a year after the crime occurred, they finally decided to look into that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's interesting. You can see on Google Earth, I'm playing right now, the house. Like if you go back, I mean, this is pretty crazy because on February 8th,
Excuse me.
2017. So let me look at something. Yeah, so July 14th. Yeah, so February 8th, 2017. You see the house basically looking the way it did, just a few months before. And then if you go to the last Google Earth, January of this year, you can see it's still just look. Did they rebuild this shed here or something?
No,
No,
so
they
that's
never-
the man cave, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Wow, what a
That
miracle.
piece, or is that
No.
the one
No,
by the
that's-
pin?
That's the new cover for his
Yeah,
or his camper.
Yeah, because something's weird. Because if you look at this, you see how the roof goes over, and then it kind of. That's part of the house that burnt down.
Yeah.
And then there's this
That was the
white part
garage
here.
where you're touching right now. That's the garage.
Yeah, and then if you go to now, it's almost like this was where the house was part of this building. It's in because the house actually went back like this.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you come down from where you are, that's still part of the kind of the foundation that kind of extends from the house, or actually was kind of the driveway.
Yeah.
And then the man cave is just over to the left of, yeah, you were kind of on it for a second.
Okay.
Oh, the man cave is right here. Okay, by the pavement.
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
Are you saying like right here was a man? Let me go back to the house
No,
that
over to the
wasn't
left.
burnt down.
Over
Okay.
to the left, closer to the trees.
Okay, over here. This thing, right here.
No, down.
Come straight down.
Okay.
Yeah, a little
Right
bit down
there.
there, right there.
Okay.
Right there.
Right there.
That's
okay.
the man cave.
Wow. Yeah, it's a weird how all of
And you can
like, that
see he
thing
had
survived.
someone come out and clear all that out, where the sand is, or dirt, or whatever. The
Right.
entire house, the
Yeah.
foundation and everything.
So this
taken
right
out
here
All
was
chopped up
a
and all the way.
his man cave. This little building right here.
Oh, yeah.
Mhm.
Alright.
Like a shed type thing, like a fancy shed, I guess.
And then we also
That has a
have
bathroom in it. And
here's some photos of the house. Look how absolutely completely this burnt down. So is this his man cave right here? Yeah, right. That would be it, right? What I'm looking at.
The
yeah,
one that's
with
still
the, right,
standing, yeah.
with the ladder in front of it. Hmm.
Okay, and then Nanette was found right in this location right here, right?
Right about there, yeah. A little bit right there.
Okay, where my face is. My face is my icon. Is that where the? Is this it right
Yeah,
here?
pretty close.
Is this it right here? Pretty much. Okay. And
Yeah,
what? And
that's
what
kind
was
of where
that?
the bathtub was.
Okay, that
yeah.
was a bathtub. All right.
Uh-huh.
But isn't it amazing how utterly like it almost
Like
looks like
nothing was left.
Yeah,
Nothing.
like
Not
a
a
nuclear
wall,
bomb.
not a piece of furniture, nothing.
Yeah. I mean, I know fires burn like that, but I mean, here's the fire chief, and there's actually video of him showing up to the scene. Do you want to take a look at that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So for everyone watching, take a look at this is Steven right there. And who's this right here? That's the friend or an employee, right? A fellow worker.
Yeah.
Dominic.
It's another fireman. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Look at his face right here. Okay, look at. So think about this. This is your house burning to the ground. And the fire you see on the right is the camera facing out, and then they have a camera facing in. So while he's pulling up to a house, his own house being burnt down, and perhaps his wife is inside, and the pets. And look at the face this guy has.
Mm.
Yeah.
And how slow it takes
Yeah.
him to get out of the car.
Yeah. So we're gonna go fishing.
Caption that meme.
Yeah. That's just wow. I mean, that looks like
Like
a
just
face.
another day at work, right?
Yeah, I was wondering. He was probably wondering where he was going to go fishing. That's what it looked like.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, I actually hadn't noticed that before until you just sent it to me today. Like when I watched the documentary, it wasn't as clear. But when you see this, wow, that really makes you think differently.
And Kim, can you tell him about what he told Randy about when he first pulled up? About taking care of his outbuilding?
No.
Oh, what Randy said, my other half is a volunteer fireman, and so he, was looking at everything when we got to the scene. And so Steve explained things to him because Randy understands it better than we do. And Randy, right when he walked up, he said, okay, well, I can tell you where the fire started. And he just kind of pointed to one area, looked more like where Steve said Nanette's remains had been found. He said it started over there and went this way. But Steve had told him that the house was down when he got there. And the first thing he did was go over and disconnect the utilities, basically keep the fire from spreading, which I didn't really think a lot about because I'm not a fireman. I don't know, I've never been in a situation like that. I don't know what I would do. Would it be sheer panic? Oh my gosh, where's my husband? Where's my wife? I got to get in there. Or would it be business? I guess it depends on the person.
Yeah, I don't know.
But
I think any fireman, even if going to a regular fire, they might act like that. But this is your house with your wife and pets. I don't think anybody can turn off something like that. Like, well, I'm a fireman, so even though it's my house burning down and my wife might be in there, I'm stoic and absolutely have no emotion whatsoever.
I don't think I would have been able to drive there because I would have got probably in a wreck. Would have been another emergency car crash.
Yeah, and he got there in like a record amount of time, 12 minutes or something. It's a 18-minute drive, and it took him 12, I think is what it was. And
where was he?
You can see when you did the zoom out of the road, you can see the house on the left there. I think that's Robbie's house, his cousin.
Okay, so let's just
this
is north-south.
Right.
So this one? Or?
No. Yeah.
To the right. Yep, right there.
Okay, right there.
Yeah.
So within that compound, behind a gate there is Robbie's residence, his cousin, and Steven. And apparently a child of the cousin saw smoke coming up from the other side of the trees and called her dad. The dad called Steve, and he was at work, which we've heard from several firemen that he didn't normally work on Fridays. But he was at work that day, and that dominant guy just happened to be sitting right next to him. And he said, let's get in the truck and let's go. And I think in the meantime, the kid was calling 911.
Yeah, Dominic looked really concerned, and geez, he was trying to rush out of the car, and he doesn't even know anybody in the house, and it's not his house.
Right.
I mean, he might have.
Everybody that knew Nanette loved Nanette, though. She was like just the type of person she was. It touched a lot of people's lives when this happened.
Yeah, a lot of the firemen, when we were there, we went and visited the fire station the week of the funeral. Steve, one of the firemen gave us a tour, and we were just kind of talking to them, and they would say how, she came in and would help with the books, and if she found out one of them had a favorite dessert, she would make it. She would go out of her way to make that specific thing for them and bring it in, and was always bringing them treats and stuff like that. I mean, she was always trying to help everyone.
Yeah, she seemed like a good person when you read the articles and just hear what people have to say about her. Well, why don't you guys talk about some of the, the details since this day? I mean, there's all kinds of stuff. Wasn't there an individual seen on surveillance? Did they ever figure out who that guy was that was that came kind of near the mailbox or?
The red shirt guy.
Yeah, I don't know what that.
Yeah, they found out, I guess, that was one of their neighbors that lives in a manufactured home somewhere along Philip Smith Road. But that neighbor did creep her out on a regular basis. Like that was.
But what was he doing there?
Somebody that bothered her.
Just taking a walk?
That's just it. What was he doing there? Like there's no need for him to be there. You can see how remote the property is, and
I think
She said she was. She sent those pictures in an email to Dad, and she said she was just checking the mail right outside of their gate, and it caught her off guard, surprised her, scared her. All of a sudden, he's just standing next to her. She got in her car and opened the gate and went in, and was still able to pull him up on the camera when she got back inside of her, inside the gate. Just really creeped her out.
And I think you sent me
And what date was that?
those. Yeah.
June 26th, I want to say.
That
So
sounds
just the
right.
proximity to the murder is what bothered us too, But
So
Yeah,
Steven had a
June
drone
26th.
then, right? He flies a drone because I see a house. I see a shot of his home where it's all. That's actually
he had a
Nanette
friend.
right there. That's
He had a
Nanette.
friend do these, but this one he did. Yeah, he had a drone. He took these shots and sent them to me
Well, I have
later,
to say,
after the fact.
like I was telling Gina earlier that the Watson family, you guys really, your genes take over, right? Because you guys look, even though you're not sisters, you kind of. I mean, it's like Nanette looks like Kim. Obviously, I guess that would make sense. But then even Gina has some of that same look like that. But
Yes, the Watson genes are very strong.
yeah, so it's interesting. When were these drone shots taken? You know?
I think
I
those
want
were
to say
in the house.
2014 or something like that.
And
They were taken a while before the fire, but he sent them to me because there was a period of time in which we spoke quite a bit, and he would send me little bits of information, and this was some of it. I wanted to know what the property looked like before because I had never been there.
it's interesting to have all these,
So
these
he was-
gas cans right here.
Yeah,
You know?
yep, that is very weird.
Now, can you explain some of that information about the house, the gas and the gas cans and different things like that after they reviewed the fire itself? Any of you?
Yeah.
Don't all
Well,
speak
there
at
was
once.
the fire investigator Rick Jones that was interviewed on the People Special. He was actually, Steve asked him to look at the scene because he didn't trust the fire marshal and didn't believe that they did it. First of all, they were the ones that did not secure the scene, and it seemed as if information was being lost and they weren't really examining things the way they should be. They weren't even sending real fire investigators to look at it. I think they sent a fire inspector, which those are the people that go to the businesses and inspect the fire extinguishers and stuff. Big difference. But he claimed that that's why he had hired this guy. And at one point, the guy wanted him to pay him, and then he didn't. And then at that point, he started speaking to other people. But he believed that the fire started, what was it, in the bedroom, Kim?
He
Where's-
couldn't really tell the point of origin, but there was gasoline strung from the bedroom to like the living room area.
Right. Well, here's the thing: is let's say, I mean, this is hypothetical. Let's say it's an accident, right? Like, what are the odds? I mean, not an accident. Let's say she shot herself. What are the odds that there'd be a fire at the same exact moment in time, right? Now, the only way that you could say that the fire was started is if you go down a conspiracy road and say she was trying to make it look like he did it, right? See, I've heard people type that into the comments. That's sort of the conspiracy theory angle, but it seems so much less likely. I mean, why would you kill your own pets like these?
And
I don't know. Just it doesn't make a lot of sense.
we've tried to put that together because we just don't have details, and it's kind of driving us a little bit crazy. But so we tried to put it together that way, like what if? But I don't know how she'd set that fire. She had no smoke in her airway.
Okay, well,
no
here's the
soot in
thing.
her lungs.
Here's the
I
thing.
don't know how she'd do it.
Yeah, to me, that's the weakest piece of information. And the reason I think that is because even though that's kind of a bigger piece of information, but when you put all the other ones together, then it tells a story. But to me, like, what if she set a fire in, let's say, a back bedroom and then immediately went over and shot herself? Well, there isn't any smoke in the house and you're not breathing anymore, so you wouldn't have inhaled any smoke at that point. See, to me, it seems like that's... I mean, I don't know all the facts. Like, was she in this area where it was immediately engulfed with smoke, and then she would have had to have breathed something in, even if she was about to shoot herself? But in reality,
well,
that's really explainable.
I see what you're saying, but it does look like her body was moved, and the reason that I think that is because there wasn't a significant amount of blood found under her body, according to firemen that were on the scene. Right. And she also had a blanket underneath her body. A lot of the back of her body was preserved by the tile floor, the cold tile floor she was laying on. So her hair, her back, a lot of that is intact, whereas the top half of her body is not. The extreme part of the fire was in the bedroom. You know, they believe, at least that one investigator believed, that it started in the bedroom. I feel like her body was moved to that point, doused with gasoline, and the fire was started there.
Yeah, I've kind of...
based on the evidence.
I'm disoriented right here. Can you, in this image here, where was she? The one we're looking at right now on the screen.
Go to where the tiles are. Can you see the tiles on the floor?
Yeah, I can see tiles, but I also see tiles here, it looks like. Well, where was she found?
Where your head is.
Where was she
found?
Right
there.
Right here. In here, okay.
No, right there.
Okay, tell me where to go with my mouse.
Stay right there.
Right about there.
Oh, okay.
Right by the tub. You can kind of see where the tub was.
You can see where the tub was.
Down.
It almost has like a
right
square
there?
around it. Can you see that?
Yeah, like
right down.
Like right in here, kind of?
No,
there's a you're in, almost getting to the closet.
Oh, okay.
Down below is that closet, right?
Yes, that was the closet.
I thought maybe.
Okay, keep going down.
Okay. Tell me where to go now. Here's my mouse. Tell me where to move it.
You're in the bathroom now. You're in the tub.
You're in the bathtub.
Okay. Okay, this is the tub right there, right? That's what I thought. Yep. I was actually thinking that was the tub originally, but when I was up here, you said, yeah, that's it. But yeah, right.
No, I kept moving too fast.
I think we have a delay too. So by the time I'm hearing something, I move something. It's only about 2 seconds, but all right. So she was found right in here. Huh? Interesting.
Yeah. So you're in the tub, so she would have been found right in front of that.
Yeah, like right here.
Yeah.
Okay. Huh. Wow. And I mean, so this is really kind of for you guys to tell all the things that you know. That's why we're doing this. I mean, I can ask questions when I get there, but there's a lot of stuff that you guys know that wasn't even on the show, I would think, right?
Yeah. And we worry about releasing too much, but at the same time, if there's articles out there and conspiracies out there about the suicide theory, I don't think it holds much water, and it's for more reason than just the suit in the lungs. Right.
Yeah, that's exactly right. That's why I brought it, because we actually already talked about that earlier. But I'm just saying, I think that if I don't know, it reminded me of in the Jodi Arias case when they said that the bullet shell was on top of blood, therefore the blood was deposited on the ground before the gunshot was fired, which doesn't mean that at all, because the bullet could have been on the ground, somebody could have walked by, kicked it, bounced around, and landed in the blood later, right? But so the thing is when somebody says, well, there's no soot in her lungs, therefore, in a case like this, especially in a suicide possible angle, right? Like if somebody's saying, well, she may have set a fire and then shot herself, and then that room that she was in didn't have the smoke in. But here's the thing: is then you take that circumstantial evidence, and then you add it to all the other stuff that you say, then it leans heavily into the murder angle. Like you also said that the dog had a broken back or something, right?
Yeah,
perhaps
her spine was broken.
Yeah, that's pretty Are you guys reading the chat comments? I try to avoid them sometimes.
Yes, I'm trying not to, but it's hard not to.
Yeah, sometimes you get. Seems like we've avoided a few trolls. I don't see as many on this one, but I usually get a couple of them. But don't worry, we can handle them. We can handle them. All right. So what about?
The other thing is like where the gun was found, because they published that article, I think, in the fall of 2017, that the sheriff's office was quoted saying that there was firearms found near her body, and I think they were trying to suggest that, the gun was in her hand, she did it to herself, that kind of thing. But according to the firemen that were on the scene, the closest guns were in the closet on the other side of the wall, which obviously there's no walls in this picture that we're looking at, and then also in the bedroom on the bed, which obviously doesn't exist anymore. But we don't have enough. There's too much conflicting, too many conflicting stories on where the closest gun was. But from what we can see, it was, if you had shot yourself, how would the gun be so far from your body? Unless, of course, like you were saying in the Arias case, where they might have kicked a bullet, or the people that were putting the fire out might have kicked the gun away or something like that inadvertently. But
right. And is this the master bedroom right here, maybe? And like that's the entrance to go into the bathroom, or is this a standalone bathroom?
Yeah.
Okay.
No, that's the master bedroom where you just were.
And what's this right here, behind the bathroom?
That's still the bathroom.
Oh, okay. Okay.
And that's the closet.
And that's where the majority of the firearms were kept. They had a lot of different rifles and guns. They were gun enthusiasts, I suppose you could say.
Yeah, I think you sent me some pictures of those. Let's see.
Mm-hmm. And they accounted for all of them, I believe, is what we were told.
But the gun that she apparently, the one that was near her was melted, right? Basically, like they couldn't figure out anything about it.
They couldn't do any ballistic testing with it because the chamber was too destroyed or whatever.
Yeah, I mean, I guess melted, so that would be like...
Right, melted, yeah.
And then there was also, I think, this one. Yeah, this gun here, and then
I believe that one. Is that the gun there, Kim, that they believe? No, that one, right? The Springfield? Which one did they believe was the one that fired, or the same type of round was found in her head?
Well, they would never say the caliber.
They wouldn't tell us, but which one are we guessing? Because...
Why wouldn't they tell you that?
Well, I know that Springfield was the one that she always had with her. That was one that was in her purse, and so...
Yeah, there's even
I don't know which one was closest to her, though.
Goes with me always. I think she must be texting these to somebody, right?
Yeah, she sent them to her dad to let him know that she was protected from all this, that she was worried about.
Then Nanette had been feeling unsafe. She had been getting threats from Brian. But before that, she was afraid of Justin. And so she would send Dad, she'd send him all kinds of pictures.
Okay, but who's Justin?
Just told him everything that was going on.
Who's Justin?
Her stepson.
Stepson. All right. And that's the one you see in the documentary she was dancing with at the wedding, his wedding.
Oh, yeah.
But it didn't look they didn't look too happy.
That's the one thing he clings to, that they were, such a loving mother-stepson relationship.
Right. Like, but even at the end of that...
that couldn't have been more further from the truth. That could not have been more further from the truth. Oh my gosh, I have so many emails.
He wasn't allowed on the property.
Wow.
It got to the point where he was only allowed there if Steve was there.
So how come? Like, what was going on there? Now, is that something you can't say, or?
No. Lori, do you want?
I mean, I don't know. It's a long story. It went on over years, but he had some disturbing behaviors and some ways that he reacted to her when she tried to, mother him as a teenager that were disturbing to her. She found pictures and things on his phone of disturbing nature, and at the point that I think she said she wasn't comfortable having him in the house was when he was carrying multiple guns on his person illegally in public,
Yeah.
and mentioning things like if his dad died, he would get everything. I think they had their
Yes,
will
they got to
redone
the
because of
point
some of
where
those threats.
they had their wills redone because he had been telling them he couldn't wait till they died so they could get everything, and
Jeez.
she was really upset by that.
But it seems like Steven defends him, right? Because he's
Oh,
kind
yeah.
of
Absolutely.
He acts like none of this ever happened. When I spoke to
Yeah.
him about it, he denies it. He said he had no idea that she ever thought that way about Justin. It just can't be true.
Mm.
wow.
And, I mean, as much as she told her friends about it, and even friends that didn't know her as well have come to us and said, "Oh my God, have they looked into Justin? Because she used to always tell us that this and that." And
Yeah, even
it was a big deal in her life.
Remember
you know?
one of someone from her dentist's office, even she had talked about that.
Yes.
She was worried about his behavior and just
Hmm.
was afraid that he was going to hurt somebody. You know, he had been working.
He was very
at one
enamored
point
with serial
and
killers
damaged
and things
some-
like that.
Yeah, did some damage to someone's property, and she told him it wasn't right, and
Well, I hope
tried to
nobody
correct
checks
his
my
behavior,
computer
and
out.
it didn't work.
You'd think I was enamored with serial killers too, because I cover a lot of these wackos, and that's what you're looking
Right,
up on the
touche.
computer. But I don't really have any, I'm not like, wow, they're so cool. I don't think of them as a good thing. It's an interesting topic. So he,
Right.
wow. So was he?
He labeled himself future serial killer in one of the photos that she found on his phone as a teenager.
So you think he's kind of like a sociopath?
This is what he wanted to do when he grew up, kind of thing. Yeah.
Had he killed any pets of any kind?
No, but he had pictures
Not
of
to my
dead squirrels on his phone.
Yeah.
So I don't know if he
That's
killed the
sure.
squirrels
She would
or
never.
collected
Yeah,
the
she
photos.
Was that Kim?
But
back
she was
there?
disturbed by this, and she would bring this to Steve's attention, like, can you believe these photos that are on your son's phone? And he never did anything about it.
Yeah. Maybe he knew what his son is or was. I guess is. So what about his brother? Now, can you talk about him? Which his name is
Brian.
Brian, right?
She had been afraid.
Brian
of
has
him
an extensive
for
record.
quite a while.
Hmm.
Yeah, there was something that happened where Brian had called Steve to try to get him to come pick him up. I don't know exactly.
Well, his
what
car went in.
he had
His
done.
car went into the ditch.
And weren't the police there by the time Nanette and Steve got there? So it was kind of too late anyway to help get him out of whatever situation he was in. And that he blamed Nanette and Steve for him getting into trouble at that point. And Nanette was the kind where what's right is right and what's wrong is wrong. And she knew what happened was wrong. And so she told me in one of those texts you can see where she says, I even called and told them exactly what happened. So
Right.
not only did she, not help, but then she took it a step further and here, I'm going to tell everything you did.
Right. So she told the
And so-
truth about his actions. I'm not sure. I can't remember. That was in the documentary, though, I think, or the People magazine story. I just don't remember.
I believe so.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And then.
Yeah, because of that,
Go ahead.
she said that he had sent a threatening letter while he was incarcerated, sent that to Steve and Nanette. They were up here. They were up in Iowa visiting Dad and the rest of the family up here, and showed us, new handguns that they had gotten, and she had talked about the letter that they got from him and that she had kept it and had looked up his criminal history, that kind of thing, that she had gotten documents, copies of transcripts from his court records, called his parole officer, just concerned that he was going to get out, she just wanted to be safe. Like, this is not somebody you want to let out early, that kind of thing. And Lori, she told you about that too, I think.
I'm sorry, about which one?
About her
About
calling,
Brian.
try to keep Brian from getting out.
Oh, absolutely. She had told me that she had called the prison where he was, and she said she begged them to keep him in. And they said that they had never had anybody call the prison and ask that before. And they said that they were really sorry, but they were overcrowded, and he was being released.
Wow.
Yeah, he had, I think his mom would pay for an expensive lawyer every time he got in trouble because he's had at least 4 DUIs, and at least one of those has been expunged, and he manages to just skate through and only have a month or two here and there in jail.
And let's see what else. There's some more information. So, do you guys know the route that, I guess before the fire, Nanette was moving around, and she went places in her car, right? Didn't she go to McDonald's? That kind of thing? Or her car did.
That's what they say she did. Yeah, her car and her phone took that trip, I guess.
Yeah. But what's weird is they won't show.
Somebody was driving.
Here's what bothered me about the comment. I don't know what the police chief or whoever the hell that was on the People magazine show, but he said, well, we have the surveillance footage, but for investigative reasons, we're not going to show it. Well, who the hell cares? What do you mean? What do you mean? Who cares? Look, just show it. If it's just her,
I know.
then what possible?
They've told us
importance?
everything but show the video.
Yeah, right. So let's see who's really in that video, okay? Because I'm not sure why that's like really for investigative reasons. What are you hiding from? I mean, if it's just her, then you see a mundane video of somebody buying some McMuffins or whatever at McDonald's. It's like it doesn't mean anything, but for investigative reasons you're keeping it hidden. That really makes no sense to me at all. I'm sorry. None.
Yeah,
Well,
not
I
to
haven't
us
figured
either.
it out either.
Yeah. I mean, I've heard of
Kim, do you want to talk about how they called her other sister and brother in, the sheriff, and showed them the video, and how they were not able to tell that it was Nanette definitely in the car?
Oh, okay. So
Yeah.
The sheriff had a meeting, and if we had Dad and the rest of us known that they were going to show that, we would have made a way to get down there. I mean, we're 16 hours away, but we would have went for that if we would have known. So we were just on the phone, and Nanette's older sister on her mom's side and her brother on her mom's side were there and were able to watch the video. And her sister Amy did explain it, gave us a description of what she saw, kind of a grainy video, looked like a person with dark hair and something moving around in the vehicle that, could have been a dog, but you just couldn't tell. And so we had kind of hoped we would be able to see it too, but with the distance, we haven't been able to do that yet.
But apparently there's something so helpful investigative-wise in that grainy video that they can't show it to anybody. It can't be shown on television. It's too much.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no,
I don't know what's that. I would think it would only help if someone maybe saw her and that they could say something.
Well, it also would just, okay, that was her at McDonald's if it was, right? Like you could say that.
Right, and we just don't believe that it was, or rather, that's not enough to make us believe that it was. And nobody in the family or her friends have ever stepped forward and said they actually heard from her on July 14th at all.
Right.
And she was alive supposedly until 2 in the afternoon and never got on Facebook. She was not always on Facebook, but frequently.
Right.
Frequently. She loved Facebook.
Hey, can you explain that again? So you're saying, explain that again about a couple days, or that you just said about maybe we don't even know if she was alive the day before. Or,
right.
Yeah.
Lori was speaking with her on Facebook Messenger July 13th in the evening until about 10:30 p.m. And she says, you can tell that, Lori, I guess.
Well, and
You're here.
I mean, we were just chatting back and forth. It wasn't anything, she wasn't upset about anything. We were just talking and reminiscing and, having a really nice conversation. And then all of a sudden, it just very abruptly stopped. There was no, okay, I'll talk to you later. Almost every single time we got off the phone or off email with each other or wherever, it was always, I love you too. And she just abruptly stopped. There was just,
that's interesting.
She went away from the computer, and literally, I never heard from her again.
And it never showed red, correct?
Like her.
The last message.
Wow.
It was just not like her to just not, end a conversation. Like
to not come back at some point, even if the
Right.
dog was barking and somebody came to the door or something like that.
Yeah, that's right. That's actually
she
interesting.
would have come back and said goodbye.
I mean, that makes
right.
That
and
is
then
weird.
the next day, which was the day that she was murdered on July 14th, she absolutely would have gotten on Facebook, if nothing else, or at least text message, because it was Gina's birthday. And Nanette was the type of person who, if it was your special day, if it was your birthday, if it was an anniversary, if it was the anniversary of you losing a loved one, a parent, or whoever that it is that you lost, she always made it a big deal. Always.
Wait, so your birthday is the day that there was a fire?
Right.
Wow, that's kind of...
Yeah, I found out that evening when my dad called, and I thought he was calling to say happy birthday, and next thing I know.
Jeez. I mean, it must be a weird birthday now. It's like every year. Hey, happy birthday.
Oh, yeah. It wasn't happy. I know, exactly. It really puts I need to change my birthday.
Yeah. So, what time of night was that you were chatting with her?
It started pretty early in the evening. It probably started about 8:30, and then it went till about 10:30, and then it just ended. And I wish I could find it, and I don't know if you had it, Gina, but I can't find it.
I did. I mean, it's basically you guys were talking about school and about when you knew each other in high school and how those friendships are the most meaningful. And I mean, it was just a talk about friendship and about, oh my God, I can't believe we've known each other that long. And
yeah, it wasn't like...
It wasn't anything of any substance or, to do with the investigation.
Nothing of substance. Nothing.
Yeah.
And, the funny thing is that, I saw kind of some of the scrolls on the side, people chatting, and they were asking, if she was depressed. And, although I said on the People magazine show that she had kind of pulled away, and she wasn't on Facebook as often as she had been in the past, that in no way did I want to imply or did I believe she was depressed. In no way, shape, or form. I never got that from her, ever. I do remember looking back on some messages, obviously after the fact, to go back to try to kind of refresh my memory, and there were instances where she said that she was dealing with all that she was dealing with between Justin and Brian and his mother, and his father had, recently passed away just 6 months prior to Nanette's death. And so it was just a lot that she was dealing with in her family, and she was just kind of going through that and dealing with that in her own way. And so she wasn't sharing that on Facebook. So even though she wasn't necessarily on Facebook, I'm afraid people got the wrong impression, and there was no way, shape, or form ever have I ever known her to be depressed, ever. Much less so depressed that she would take her own life or the life of her pet.
And you get a lot of, and one thing that bothers me is a lot of times people will say, yeah, she was kind of depressed, and then everyone runs with that. But I mean, that word is used too much by people. Oh, they were depressed. Oh, because what? They just noticed something about them. I mean, if they weren't diagnosed,
like chemically depressed versus situationally depressed, that's two different things.
Yeah, you might just have a moment like where you're a little down about something, and people go, "Oh yeah, they were kind of depressed," and then everybody runs with that as if it's some diagnosis by a psychologist. right?
Right.
Right, and she wasn't.
Right. Okay. Well, there you
And
go.
as far as McDonald's, I have a really
Oh,
hard
great.
time believing
Can you
that.
zoom in on the McDonald's again? I saw you were looking at the
Oh, okay.
McDonald's, and I wanted to show you where they got the video from.
Okay.
And then, Lori, continue your thought. I didn't mean to interrupt
Yeah,
you.
well, we were told by Steve, he shared with us the debit statement that she used, the debit card at McDonald's supposedly that morning, and it came to like $7.22.
I was thinking just
Okay, which
the
I think is
drive-through.
an outrageous amount of money to spend at McDonald's on a breakfast meal. And she didn't even eat fast food. She didn't like fast food, and I could believe she loved
Okay,
her animals.
stop.
I could believe that
Go-
she.
Turn towards the Walgreens. The camera was on
Okay.
the Walgreens. That's to the left
Oh, it was over there.
of the McDonald's.
They didn't have one at McDonald's, like
Mhm.
through the drive-through.
I guess not. That's what we were told,
What the
correct,
hell?
Kim?
That's, no way. Jesus. Come on. McDonald's they're all covered in there.
I would think, but maybe they hadn't kept it long enough, by the time the investigators went and actually asked about it.
No, that's kind of weird because if it's way over there, you barely could make out anything.
Yeah, there's no way.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's the reason why he's not showing the video, because it shows nothing, and he's just adamant that it's her.
Oh, and he doesn't want
And
people to
that-
question it, like say, "Hey, what do you mean? You can't even make it out." See, the thing is when you're I've been dealing with this a lot on different cases lately, but when you have a pixelated image, when it's so far away and then you zoom in, you're looking at pixels at that point. So if you see a black blur, there's no way to make out that, oh wow, that's her. Look, that's Nanette. It's just, maybe it's somebody with possibly dark hair, but when you take a full image and then you crop it out just to the car, for example, and then you zoom in on it, you've degraded, even for your own mind, any kind of clarity whatsoever. It's almost better to look at it from a distance, to be honest with you. Unless if you have HD or higher, then you can actually zoom in and still maintain some clarity because there's a lot more pixels. But anyways, little aside there. So, wow, that sucks. So the camera was way over there. I had no idea. I actually this whole time just watching the shows and everything thought it was the drive-through.
Like right by
camera.
the drive-through or something?
Yeah.
No. Well, and until we actually see the video, I mean, that's just what we were told. Wasn't it one of the detectives that said it was from Walgreens, Kim? When you spoke to them?
Not that they've ever said to me.
It's in my notes, but somewhere we got that it was from the Walgreens. Or maybe they also got video from the Walgreens to prove that she came that way. But everybody that saw the video said it was just way too far away, so it couldn't have been right there
Yeah, so I would
at the
think there'd be
drive-through, in my
one
opinion.
right here. This
Well,
is-
Wendy saw it too, and she said you can't tell anything from that video. She said it's black and white. You can't see who's driving. She's like, I couldn't tell.
And any other information like that about what she was doing or what other people were doing?
Well, there also supposedly was no food found in her stomach contents. So if she had just gone to McDonald's that morning and
That
I think
$7
the fire started
worth of
around
food.
2.
Where was it?
Yeah, $7 at McDonald's is kind of like you bought 2 meals, right? In the morning.
Well, and
Right.
like Gina said, she didn't even drink coffee, much less eat the fast food. So she did probably buy Harley a sausage, and let her eat on that. But I just can't imagine.
I do like sausage McMuffin
I know she
with
didn't
egg.
eat it.
You gotta admit, those are pretty good. The sausage biscuit with egg, or sausage McMuffins. Those are.
You don't know how many times I've gone to McDonald's just to figure out if I can get it to $7.22. But I know it's different in Florida than it would be in Louisiana. I'm sure the prices are slightly different, the tax and whatnot. But
Yeah. Let's see. I was just thinking about something about that. Wasn't there a receipt though that said what was on it? I mean,
No.
Yeah, Kim, tell him
we
about
showed
when you
us
found out. Yeah.
when we were visiting with Steve before the week of the funeral, before the funeral, went over to the fire hall, and he showed us, kind of surprised, showed us her debit card, just a charge that was listed on there, because it kind of threw him. It had gone through, he said, on the 19th, but it was her debit card, and it showed McDonald's for 722. And so, kind of freaked him out, because that was her card, and this charge was showing up after she had died. And
Yeah, it made it look like she had made the charge on that date, but it just took 3 days to clear or whatnot.
but couldn't you go over to McDonald's and get a copy of the order or receipt, something like that?
They may have done that. I know he turned it over to the police, and they immediately went over, and that's when they obtained the video and all of that. But they don't share too much with us because we are not her next of kin in terms of Louisiana law. He's the next of kin.
All right, so she, had a final meal, like, I'm going to kill myself, therefore I'm going to go get a sausage McMuffin with egg.
Mm-hmm. From
Right,
McDonald's.
exactly. Just please.
Yeah, see, that's
not
ridiculous.
that there's anything wrong with McDonald's.
No,
like I said, those are good.
That's not going to be my last meal.
That wouldn't be my choice, no.
Yeah, like I said, those are
Not
good.
going to be the last one.
Right, yeah, that, There's a lot of stuff that just sort of doesn't make a lot of sense in this one, right? You put it all, and when you put a lot of things that don't make a lot of sense together, it tells a whole different story at that point. That's
exactly.
Yeah.
Well, and then we throw in an affair, or
I forgot about that.
Or 3 or 4.
Yeah, the affair part is a big deal, right? Because so if I'm remembering right, he was actually seeing this person up until basically maybe just before or even during the time when she died, right? But they had talked about it.
All of the all of the above.
Okay. Yeah, and they talked about it.
We hear from witnesses that they were still together, but Steve would say that they no longer had a relationship since 2014. That's what he would have everybody believe. And yet they're still going to dinner up until a few months ago,
We were told they went to dinner the night
holding hands after her funeral. Yeah.
You need a mic on those people. Get a PI to sit next to them at different places and record it. Or maybe even get a hold of the girlfriend and make her on your guys' side. See if she has anything to say.
I would love to talk to her. I mean, I don't blame her for anything. It's just, what do you know? We just want to know. What does anyone know?
Yeah, remember he even said in the interview that they were going to separate, but then they sort of worked some things out. So you can totally see motive in there, right? I mean,
that would be the first time that he had ever admitted that too, because whenever I spoke with him, he said, no way was that ever, he acted shocked that she had written those things to Kim, and I find it surprising that he did admit that finally.
Yeah, he probably realized he had to at some point, because he knew that there was information out there. The police probably even had information. So now he can't lie on camera anymore, but he could probably get away with telling you something because it wouldn't get back to the police probably.
Right. Yeah. True. And if it did, he could just say it was his word against mine or something.
Right.
Or we got it wrong or something. Yeah.
It is. But there must be...
There's been a lot of smoke and mirrors like that throughout this whole thing.
So what motive... so he probably wouldn't have wanted to get a divorce and then give a pension or anything like that to her, right? Something like that, maybe.
He had been divorced before, so... he wouldn't want to have to split it again,
Right. He'd like Johnny Carson at that point. Yeah, Johnny Carson had to pay out. He had like 10 of the 10 different people he was paying millions.
Oh my
Yeah. Yeah, it was like every time he got a
Well,
divorce, he was just
Stephen didn't have that much.
Right. So what other kinds of information do you guys have that's maybe we don't have? That's not on the show. Is there anything like that you can tell us? Or maybe we could do that on a different show, a different time, have it all laid out.
Well, and I would
If
love
anybody
to
out
have,
there has questions.
Dad on, as well.
Yeah. Well, we can have people call in if you want. You want to try that?
Sure. Yeah.
I'll have to, hopefully I don't hang up on the, because I'll have to join them to the call if I don't hang up on one of yours. But if I do, just call right back in. You got the number, right?
Okay.
All right,
Yep.
so there's the number on the screen. Anybody have any questions about this case? I don't know if anybody will call right away. It takes them a minute or something to. And sometimes they're too shy. They have all these guts in the conversation, saying all these things, but they don't call in. Come on. Yeah. Oh, look at
Someone is
can
asking,
talk.
where did the fire start? That was, they believe, maybe in the bedroom of the home. Correct, Kim?
Yeah, there was the point of origin. They couldn't determine it. There was gasoline between the bedroom to that front living room, and
So they're not sure if he
From what-
started the trail in the living room and went to the bedroom, or from the bedroom and went to the living room, but
yeah,
or he, she, whoever might have done it.
Is there any movement in the case at all? Is anybody doing anything? Or is it just kind of stuck? Because,
not that I've heard.
Okay, I got a caller.
Yeah,
calling
not
in.
that I've heard.
Here's a caller. Hold on a second. This is Gray. You're on the air. What's your question?
Hi. Has anyone thought that maybe there was a timer that the fire didn't start
Oh, wait. Hold on a second.
when they thought?
Oh, wait. I just want to make sure.
Hello?
Yeah. Are all of you guys on the call still?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, but I think I have to. Yeah, I can hear you, but I'm kind of wondering if I left, like they're not on the air. Let me hang up. Can you just call right back in again? I think I screwed up
Sure,
something. All right,
sure.
Right back. Okay. Oh boy. I think everybody has to. Hold on a second.
Oh, I was trying to hear.
Hello?
I can't hear.
Yeah. Are you
Okay,
guys?
now we can hear you.
Okay, I screwed up. So when you call in, I have to add you. What I did was I answered and put everybody else on hold. So hold on a second.
Okay.
You got a different caller.
Okay. Hello. You're on the air.
Hi,
Hello.
Gray. It's Michelle.
You got a different
How are
caller.
you?
Okay, hold on. Just the male. Don't say anything for a little bit. Let the other person say something. All right. So what was your question?
Hi, Gray. It's Michelle Nicholas. How are you?
Pretty good. I'm kind of struggling with my screen right now, but go ahead. What's the question?
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Okay. It's Michelle Nicholas. I'm calling in because I was gonna try to help, get them and help everybody understand the evidence and try to figure it out. I missed a lot of it because I'm back and forth between my work computer and this. But there's a lot of things that definitely don't make sense as far as with the fire and everything. And if she shot herself, yeah, the gun definitely, like they said, only if somebody accidentally kicked it. But even if she'd have shot herself and the fire started, there would still be transference of her burnt flesh on the gun, the trigger, that they could find, depending on how destroyed it was. If it wasn't that destroyed, they could find it.
Right.
And as far as those McDonald's receipts and stuff like that, they can take her debit card or whatever that she used, match up the time on the debit card with the back receipts through McDonald's. And McDonald's always has cameras not only around the outside, but at the windows.
Right. That's what I
They
was
could
thinking.
match all of that up.
Yeah. And who are you? Do you know the people on the rest of the call here, or I'm kind of confused.
No.
Okay, go ahead.
No, this is Michelle Nicholas. I do the crime scene investigations and the death investigations.
Okay. Well, the thing is that
It's
it sounds
me.
like you. Yeah, but the thing is, it's amazing. All these people keep calling in, and I don't even know. Are my 3 guests still on the air? Can you guys still all hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, great. Okay, because it usually shows all of your icons on my screen, but they're all gone, and then I keep getting other phone calls coming in. So.
Uh-oh, people are calling in. That's a good sign.
Yeah. So.
Can I ask a question?
Yes, go ahead. Sure.
Yeah, there was a computer that part of the
go ahead.
home security system
Uh-huh.
that was burned, the hard drive. It was examined by the FBI. Whatever happened to that report? Did the FBI ever submit something back, or do they still have it?
Oh, that's right. They had that internal surveillance camera that was melted, right? Inside the house, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, actually, the internal surveillance camera was part of a computer system. The hard drive was submitted to FBI evidence for their forensics people to look at it.
I don't know if they ever got it back.
Last I heard, they were still trying to get something off of it, but honestly, I don't know if they would tell us if they were done, unless it was that they
Okay,
had
and
tried.
the final question is this. The state fire marshal's office was supposed to submit a complete report of this fire and of everything at the scene. Did they ever turn over a completed report to the sheriff's department?
Not that
yet.
I'm aware of.
Did she have? Okay, are they saying that she started the fire and then shot the pets and herself?
Only rumor mill is saying that. Officially, the sheriff's office is saying it's a homicide. They're investigating it as a homicide.
Right. Yeah, because the thing is, if she'd have started the fire and then shot herself, regardless, she would have still had inhaled the accelerant.
No, that's not.
Or,
that's not. Well, it's not really true. That's not really true, though,
Right.
because if you start the fire in another, I don't like it when it's just everything's thrown out the window like that. If you start a fire in another room, walk over to a whole nother room, shoot yourself in the head, you're not breathing anywhere near where there's smoke at that point. Okay, so that's just a truth, though.
Right.
So it's not like, oh well, therefore it has to be a certain way. I'm just saying that's an angle that people can have. That's but it's the,
Right.
the
So how do
totality
they-
of it all. Go ahead.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Can you hear? How do they know her time of death? How do they know she wasn't killed 2 hours before the fire started and a timer for this fire to go off?
They don't.
I don't believe they do. We had
Because that would.
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
Well, we had a forensic pathologist go down as well, one of ours that we knew because we just weren't getting any answers, and he was needing her prescription and medical records, was not able to get them from the coroner, was not even actually able to perform an autopsy, was not allowed to take photos, notes, or anything. They were basically able to go in and look. But yeah, without those things, he said that she did have a time release pill in her stomach, and if he would be able to see her prescription records and maybe when she normally took her medication, that he would be able to give us an estimate on time of death.
That's
But
interesting.
he can't do it without that.
Yeah.
Yeah, technically, it's a time release medication. It slowly releases over about a 12-hour period. And if she had eaten, there would have been undigested food in her stomach. And with that, they could also tell, an approximate time of death as to how much of it was digested and how much of it wasn't. Now, if she, like Grace said, she probably if she did this, she started the fire in one place and shot herself in another room, then she wouldn't have inhaled. But why would she shoot herself and start a fire, or start a fire and shoot herself? It doesn't make any sense. It's definitely got to be a homicide. Somebody killed her and tried to cover it up with burning everything down.
Yeah. I mean, all the other stuff together is what makes it seem like a homicide, right? It's all the you add that all together.
The entrance wound. Yes, the entrance wound was behind her ear. So. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah, normally when somebody shoots themselves, it doesn't go behind. They automatically put it to their temple. They either put it to their temple or in their mouth. Mm-hmm. That's an automatic thing. That's the way the brain works. To go behind the ear, that's somebody else did that.
Yeah, it's pretty. I mean, some stuff like that's really compelling. You know, it's like, wow. I mean, you shoot yourself. See, a lot of times people shoot themselves inside the head because it doesn't affect your face at all. Like I've actually read where women don't want to make their face look bad when they do it. So if you shoot from the back of your head, it would blow out the front of your face. I mean, there's no way somebody would do that. But it didn't do that in this case. It went down. But
it'd be depending on the angle. Depending on the angle, it would blow out the front, or it would blow out the other side, or depending. You know, and it also comes down to the caliber. You know, what type of bullet, whether it was a hollow point. I mean, there's a lot of things that can, you know, change one thing. And but yeah, a woman, they don't. Generally, we don't want to mess up our face. Our face is everything to us. So, you know, like I said, it would be either the temple or, you know, something, yes, in the mouth or under the chin. But normally with the woman, like you said, they don't want to mess up their face. So anything that's going to do that, it would normally be at the temple.
Yeah.
And it could be a through and through, or it could stop in between depending on how much bone it hit, or what type of bullet it was, things like that.
Yeah. The thing is about this fire, it's
so many different.
The fire is so convenient too. Like in this case, like it destroyed every single thing. That, like the gun, the surveillance information.
Right.
It destroyed her body where you couldn't determine some things. I mean, it's just like.
Right.
It did what it did what fires do when people set them on purpose to cover things up. It achieved every single goal that you would have after setting the fire, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Or before.
And with it being such a devastating fire, it was definitely an accelerant. And was it her husband that was a firefighter? Okay, you know, so he knows what can and can't be found. He knows what to use, what not to use. And his reaction was definitely not somebody that was concerned. You could see that he was like, okay, I got to get ready for this. Okay, let me put on my fake smile or my fake, you know.
He looked like he already knew. Like he already knew. To me, it looked like he already kind of just knew what was going on at the house inside.
Yeah, he wasn't surprised at all.
Yeah. Right. So there's a new caller that just called in. Did you have a question?
Yes, I do.
Okay, what was that? You have to turn down your audio.
Hello?
Yeah, turn down your audio. Don't listen to that. You got to turn it down.
It's
just like every radio.
My question is, did I hear this correctly in reference to her pet dog? That the dog suffered a back injury. Had a broken back?
Yes.
Okay. So I have some other questions. No one had any communication with her whatsoever the day supposedly that she was supposedly committed suicide or someone shot her in the head?
Right. The only person that supposedly talked to her was Steven.
Yeah, and she walked him out to the car.
Okay, so the only communication that anybody had with her was the night before. Is that correct?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. And was it someone's birthday that day that she was murdered?
Yeah, it was my birthday. I'm just her cousin, but I mean, I don't think Steven knew it was my birthday or anything.
Okay. Also, I want to bring up in reference to this McDonald's. Why would the sheriff's office get a surveillance tape at Walgreens and not at the actual McDonald's itself?
Well, that's what we were just talking about.
Well, that's what we need to figure out. You know, like we would like to see the video so that we could see where it was obtained from.
Okay. Because my question is that McDonald's does have a clear surveillance system that they do use.
Yes,
Okay,
they
due
do,
to the crime that happens at the McDonald's. Okay, but what I'm trying to figure out, when did he supply this receipt, quote unquote, that's McDonald's trip that she makes?
I believe it was the 17th of July.
July 17th, and when she was murdered?
The 14th.
July 14th.
Okay, so they had ample enough time to get that video surveillance tape from McDonald's.
Oh, absolutely.
Okay, so
the
that's
only thing
that's
that you're not considering is that you don't know how long McDonald's saves their videos.
Well, I can tell you this much right now. Okay, she was murdered on the 14th. This came to surface on the bank statement 3 days later, okay, which is typically normal for McDonald's. But I can assure you that they do not get rid of their video tapes within that certain amount of time.
They may, if you really stop and consider the fact that McDonald's may have 5, 6 cameras, they may not keep every video of every camera. In other words, there may be only specific ones that they keep for a long period of time. I don't know if that's true.
I can assure you, through the drive-thru especially, they are required
to
keep them up to a year.
Oh,
okay, so that's some questions y'all really need to ask. And if I was y'all, I'd actually have to see this, because in my belief, hearing the whole entire story, I don't believe that she killed herself. I believe that she was murdered the night before. Okay, and all of this that he put out there is nothing but alibi. When they're pulling this tape up from Walgreens, and the sheriff clearly stated that I am most confident that it was her in the vehicle. How can you be confident when you can't even make it out?
He's not.
That's mind-boggling to me. Okay, how can you sit there and say that off of live air, saying, I'm confident. I'm confident it was her in that vehicle. No, I have to see. I mean, he's not sitting well with me at all, the sheriff, on this investigation, the way it's been handled. I'm going to be honest with you. Okay, because this to me is a botched up case. And
well,
I tell you what.
You have to understand something. I'm not defending the sheriff, but you have to realize that this was a murder and a fire. Like Michelle, the reason I called in is because Michelle is giving all of these facts about how someone kills themselves, how they do this, how do they do that. And what we're not piecing together is that maybe somebody poured a gallon of gas in one room and only an ounce of gas in the other room, and things were destroyed in such a way that there's not as permanent of answers as if there would not have been a fire. We're kind of talking as if the place wasn't burned, and unfortunately the fire has destroyed on purpose. I believe that's why the fire was set, to destroy evidence so that you can't trace any of the actual facts of this case. And that's very sad. I agree with you as far as it being that she didn't commit suicide, but we can't tell enough facts because of the burning.
Also, he says he's limited to what he can say. I understand that. But, come on, a video surveillance, I mean, I should be able to look at it. Everybody, you know what I'm saying? It should be out there for people to look at. Because to me,
almost every other case you see, they put it out there.
Right.
Exactly. Yeah. And he made some strong statements, in regards to that, of her being in that vehicle.
No, I don't. Okay. And when we're talking that they got it 3 days later, I wasn't under the impression from what was said that they got it that quickly.
No, I don't think they got it that day. I think it was.
I don't either. I don't even think they got it that
later.
I'm going to be honest with you. You can get them pretty quick. Okay.
Well, you can, but did they?
Yeah. I mean, I've done already had one, from a Shell station. I mean, I actually got it the next day. Okay. So I'm just saying, it is there. They can give you a copy just on the spot with the law enforcement. Not a problem. Okay. But
what day
like I said,
did Stephen first tell the family that he had the receipt?
On July 17th.
Okay, so it was 3 days later that they found out.
Mm-hmm.
So the police may not have even found out about it until after that date.
Right.
Well, actually, we were at his fire station when he showed us what it was her debit card statement where he found that charge, and kind of freaked him out because hey, she's not alive. What's the charge doing?
He had her debit card statement at his office.
Like he pulled it up on the computer. He had it printed out.
Oh, okay. I thought you meant that he had the paperwork. I was going to go, oh my.
That's an awful lot of food for her animal, huh? And I can't imagine her wanting to break her animal's back and kill it.
Well, and she, her pets, she had a couple of dogs that had, like, one of them before this one, Harley, had, like, a neurological issue, and so she was a little more careful about, what she fed him and that kind of thing. So I mean, maybe she gave him McDonald's. It just seems like kind of a weird thing.
I just find that a very expensive McDonald's meal for an animal.
For a little
dog. It was
a tiny dog.
Okay, because I have $7.
At McDonald's doesn't really get you a lot. It doesn't even get you a full meal anymore. Then I live in Florida, and I can tell you. I can tell you that here in Florida, $7 might get you, like, a small breakfast. If it's breakfast, you're looking at, a sausage muffin, not a McMuffin, because the sausage McMuffin itself is like almost $4.
I like the sausage biscuits. I like the sausage biscuit with
I'm going to say this.
Maple
We're
syrup.
all just assuming that the McDonald's was for the dogs. Maybe there was someone at the house.
Or 2 people in the car. Never thought of that.
Right. Maybe she brought food home to whoever was there at the house. And that's how they got in to kill her.
Or maybe if he was having plenty of affairs, maybe one of his girlfriends, maybe one of the women that he was, maybe she, maybe he put her up to it and told her how to do it.
Right.
She was psychotic enough and wanted him for herself.
Yeah.
And
it's been said Brian with a wig could have done it,
I would say to look into, I would just figure out what was on the actual receipt itself. And then other than that, to me, it seems like if you're going to, I wouldn't spend as much time talking about the McDonald's receipt amount as the other stuff, because it gets you kind of stuck onto something that could be totally explainable.
Because everything can,
small.
It'll drive you batty. So
everything can get you stuck on this case. And what I mean by that, if you stop and take a look and you listen to everything, all of these alibis, with this stepson, with his brother, it's all in the equation. It's all what if. But we've got to step outside and look at the overall picture of this case.
Does the husband have an actual alibi himself? Does Stephen? Here, hold on a second. Let me speak. Does Stephen have an alibi, like that's ironclad himself? Is that why they cleared him, or is he one of the only people?
He was at the office. Yeah.
Okay, he was, huh? Jeez.
Well, he had also said that he was out back at lunch that day, and that the sheriff got that video as well.
But he was at the office during the fire, is what you're saying, right? Because let's say, does he have an alibi from after the last known conversation with Lori to see, that's the point. I don't know how they could have cleared anything at that point. Although you do see, but here's the thing. Okay, so if she was on the phone communicating with Lori at night, but nobody's heard from her since, but you do have the McDonald's, and that thing, the whole fact that if that is her on surveillance at McDonald's, throws out any possible connection to, oh, she was killed at night, right? So if that's her driving in McDonald's, that's why if police believe that that was her at McDonald's, it then does pass him through that time zone, and now maybe he's at work during that day. You see what I'm saying? Because if she was at McDonald's the next day at 10 in the morning, I guess is about 10:30, right? Then that means she did survive that whole night and was at home and then drove to McDonald's. If that was her, right?
Right.
Yeah, if that was her, right? So that then,
Right.
if you can conclusively say that she made it to McDonald's, then the whole nefarious angle of something happening to her at night goes away, because that means she's alive and she drove to McDonald's. So it's a huge thing to know about the McDonald's as a fact, right?
Right. So, yes, and that's very important to know. And if I was one of the family members, I will have to fly in. I would demand to want to see that video surveillance, because I don't understand why he won't show it to y'all.
Just so you know, the family can't demand, because Louisiana law is that Stephen has control of his wife's doings. Right? Am I not right on that, Kim?
And
no, you're right. And they said that
me too is, hasn't the state's attorney stepped in and said, because the state's attorney can get all that. And
I think the family members are entitled to it in the state of Louisiana.
Can I ask you guys? Let me ask this question though: does it clear? Is everybody that we have talked about so far, do they all have an alibi if that was her at the McDonald's?
According to the
If that was her, yeah.
Okay.
No, you can't say that. You can't say that because you don't know exactly what time she was shot. The fire didn't start until hours later.
Right, but everybody's they're accounted for at different locations throughout that. They don't just go, oh wait, they were on camera at the time of the fire.
Because even the fire department gentlemen that were at the fire department that day, some of them say Steve was there. Some of them say he was not there.
Okay, well there you go. If that's a true
So
deal.
there are vague answers that have not been resolved, in my opinion.
And how long of a drive was it from the firehouse to the house? Maybe 15 minutes?
I don't know that answer.
Well, I'm talking
It usually takes about 25 minutes, but on that day, I think it took 12 for him to get there.
Rocket Man, huh? He got going.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he had to pretend like he was concerned, so he had to fly.
Yeah,
and what about the gate surveillance? And what about the transformers that were flowing?
The camera to the gate broke down the day before or 2 days before.
Okay.
Right,
and what
so
about
July 12th. Okay, so July 12th, we've heard two different stories. Some of the firemen heard that the transformer had been struck by lightning. And Stephen told me that the MiFi for the camera on the gate was down. And so the camera on the gate and the cameras in the house are two different systems. So that was conveniently not working on the 14th.
That's crazy.
And then Nanette had also spoken to her dad about a gentleman from the power company, I believe, that was at their house on or around between the June 30th and July 12th, I would say, a couple of times on more than one occasion because of some transformer issues. And I don't know the complete details of that, but that's something that Dan remembers her speaking to him about, and that the gentleman that came to the home said it looks like somebody tampered with it.
Yeah, this is so crazy. I'm looking at that footage again. You know, the guy that he's driving with, the whole time his eyes are bug-eyed. He's kind of like, oh, God, oh, Jesus, oh, Jesus. But I can't find, if I go frame by frame in this thing, like literally, like every single frame, he looks like he's just some guy driving down a freeway thinking about work or something. Look at that. Nothing. I know everybody's different and stuff like that, but this guy... Man,
what's really funny about it is that he wanted to make sure everyone saw this video.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Why?
I guess he thinks
He was
that
showing
he's
it off to
showing out
everyone.
here.
Jesus.
He was actually. He showed us
It's
this
no
not to
different.
mention
we
the
were at.
fact, not to mention the fact if the transformer went, the transformer is a lot more involved, and usually the fire department has to make sure, because that will in turn cause a fire. So him being a fire chief,
Right.
he would know exactly how to tamper with that to cause it to blow.
I agree with that statement, 100%.
Well, the way I look at it, he just over sugar-coated everything, and I don't like his reactions. I don't like the way he acts. I don't like the way he looks. And all the videos I've seen.
Look at that right there. Jesus,
pretty
really?
much. I mean, I even seen the look on her face, even when she danced with the stepson. When she turned around and walked away, her facial expression showed it all. And here he's going to come and paint this picture that didn't exist.
Is there more?
Here's my
mean,
favorite part of this.
Is there more to this
where
video
he
here?
stops the car before he undoes his seatbelt.
Yeah, is there more to this video? Because it sort of cuts off here. I want to see, like, what's next, you know?
Yeah, I don't know. I guess he explained it like the dash cam. It's whenever you go over a bump or exceed a certain speed, it'll turn on
Yeah,
for
it's
8
like your
seconds.
dad
And it
looked on.
captures the 8 seconds before and 8 seconds
so it's
after
motion
the incident.
activated, basically.
Oh,
Kind of like how that works, because there's a buffer of 8 seconds before and after, right? Basically.
Yeah, it's like a
Right,
tattletale
exactly.
type.
Yeah. Huh.
I think the most disturbing part is
look
when
at
I
that.
actually seen her
Jeez.
grave site. I mean, that is unbelievable.
You mean the one without the marker?
That's correct.
Yeah.
Was it still
Okay,
like
it's
that?
totally unacceptable, especially for a woman that you love so dearly.
Right.
With quotes,
Okay.
we put quotes around that, right? Yeah,
And
the
it's
love.
not like you
So
can't afford a
dearly.
gravestone or a grave marker. They're only a few $100s, or you could go higher. But I mean, the man's a fire chief and owns all this property and stuff. I'm sure he could have thrown in a few $100s for a headstone or whatever. So yeah, he doesn't. There's nothing there that shows any kind of concern or
No compassion,
love.
nothing.
Right.
See, this part here,
nothing.
they're all wearing seatbelts. I'm just going by people in the comments. Oh, they put on seatbelts. Well, both have their seatbelts on. The other guy, though, right when they stop, he gets out of there. But when you look at him, like, he looks down. I don't even know what the hell he's looking at here. Like, why would you even take your eyes off the building? I mean, you'd be just bang out the door.
I agree.
And
That's
sprinting.
why I said it's my favorite part of this video.
It's just like right there, and he's
I
sort
mean,
of
it
looking
just
down.
shows you that it's just nonchalant. Oh, his house is burning. Oh, too bad.
Right.
Yeah. It's
I
sad.
hate to say that, but that's
We have
how I
8
feel
people
about
on the on this call, by the way. Who just joined? Who wants to ask a question?
Hi.
Yeah, go ahead.
Hey, y'all. It's Kim Thompson.
Hey, Kim. Like the
And-
voice.
Hey, y'all.
And Michelle.
I'm not familiar with this case. I was hoping maybe y'all could give me a quick overall.
Oh man, is this LJ
what
calling
happened
in?
and why did the cops or whatever think that she started the fire? That don't make no sense to me. Hello?
I don't know.
Hey,
Are you still there? Okay.
Yeah, I'm here.
Oh, okay. Go.
Hello?
Yeah, go ahead, and if anyone wants to do a quick synopsis for her, go ahead. This is like.
Well, no one.
Can I?
No one told. Hello.
Yeah.
I can hear you,
They
babe.
had never told us that they thought she started the fire, but we weren't getting any information, and so we kind of started poking around wherever we could because we're so far away. We just asked people. We just started asking around. Have you heard anything? The DA's office. We tried there. Has anybody heard anything about this? What's going on? And what we got back was they're leaning towards suicide. And they had never said, there was never any explanation on how she might have started the fire, if she shot herself.
No, they didn't say how the fire started at all?
No, not to us.
Not even an accident or whatever?
Nope.
Wow. But the coroner did say he thought it was a homicide, yes?
Yep.
Yes,
Yeah.
he did after we sent our forensic pathologist down. the next day, the coroner released his finding of a homicide.
Well, that's
It
good for
sounds
y'all.
more like the fact that they know more than what they're saying, but they can't release it yet.
Does her husband, the fire chief, have that much pull in this town?
Oh, yes.
Well, it being a small
really?
town, the way it looks, it being a small town and him being the fire chief and knowing
Absolutely.
sheriff the way I know him, they could all be.
Oh, yeah.
The corruption is
This
so
is in
bad.
Louisiana?
Yes,
Oh,
it
Is it in Louisiana?
And it
is
is so
Yeah.
corrupt. Justice.
Absolutely,
There is no
yes.
justice.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, I pray
You
for
know,
y'all
I
to
got
get
this-
justice.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. I really appreciate that.
So I'd like to just bring up one thing that I had started a thread on this on the Facebook page, and this is about the kind of following the money, so to speak. And
Yep.
I don't know if that's adequately been covered. I joined the call late, so maybe it has. But if you kind of look at, when someone passes away, a spouse passes away, you think typically of life insurance. There may have been a policy, I think someone mentioned it could have been $100,000. But there's bigger money at stake, if you will. So the insurance payouts that he received as a result of the vehicles, the house, and various things like that, is like $340,000. Then potentially you've got the life insurance policy. Then you look at his pension value, which would have been cut in half if he had divorced, because he would have gotten half in a community property. That was $64,000 annually. So you start adding all those things up, and there's quite a bit of money that was at stake that could have very well provided a whole reason why he wanted a whole.
We're looking at $1 million.
Yeah, it's a lot of money. And typically, in an investigation, police tend to just go towards the real obvious life insurance thing. But it would be very.
It's so obvious him being a fire chief as well. When fire burns down, he's the fire chief. I mean, it don't take a detective to figure that out.
Yeah.
Did the crippled dog burn in the fire?
The what one?
The what?
The crippled dog, did it burn up in the fire?
Oh, he wasn't
Yes.
crippled
Yes.
to start with.
Well,
Oh.
then that tells you right there she didn't start the fire.
Oh, that was pretty funny. Hey, that was good. That was good.
They confirmed that he had a broken back.
Well, then she didn't start the fire if the dog burned.
That's all I can
She
say.
would have shot him and she was going to shoot herself. You know?
The cats were in
Yeah,
there
that's
too.
true, right? Like,
Well,
why would
I
you
can
let
tell
your
you.
animals die?
We had 2 more years.
Yeah, them
2
are
more
your
years
kids.
with the sheriff.
Okay, hold on a second. Hold on,
And
everybody.
it's going to be.
So there's a new caller just called in. What did you have for a question?
Okay, I'll get off. And listen in the chat.
Oh, well, thanks for calling.
I'm
God bless
watching
y'all.
an interview
All right.
with-
Love you, Gray.
Love you too. See ya.
Bye.
All right.
I'm watching the interview right now that he's having on Prime Daily Watch. He's talking to, and you can see the way his eyes, when he's talking, the way his eyes move to the right and down. He's deceptive. He's being deceptive. And
Deceitful.
he's trying to, come up with things. He's not recalling. He's making things up. And
It's written all over his face, his emotions,
Yep.
his actions, everything.
you can see him when he's looks like he's crying on the scene when he's talking to the news as well. He's wiping his eyes, but there's no tears.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I think this is the part, just this drive up is the more damning part, It's just...
Oh, yeah.
It's... also, I think somebody else just joined the call here, so what was your question?
Yes, I'm calling in from,
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
I'm calling in from Covington, Louisiana, and pretty close to the story. I know that Crime Stoppers, when they have any video surveillance of the last known whereabouts of someone, that's what's posted immediately. If there's a murder, burglary, missing person, if they have video surveillance of the last known whereabouts, that's posted immediately. If they had video surveillance of Nanette Krentel, that should have been posted immediately, showing the last known whereabouts. They say this car, this red Mercedes, was seen at McDonald's. Does anyone have any information about this car? Did they see it? Were they in line with them? Did anything look suspicious? That has yet to be put out there. I find that very, if it's definitive video, that should have been released. The amount of money that was put up for Crime Stoppers, I think the husband put up $5,000. I have almost seen bigger rewards for lost pets. And this was the love of his life for 22 years. He was carrying on multiple affairs, and one that continued prior, during, and after Nanette's murder. There's so many things about this. He has a history. It's documented and well known that he had asked someone if they would kill his first wife, and he even offered money to help do that, get that done, which hasn't been done. He's a very vindictive person. Anyone that would have killed the love of his life, burned his house down, he would be marching the streets, putting up signs, anything to find out who this killer is. And I don't see any of that. I know the family has started Facebook pages. They're on doing this show now. They've started several, got interviews with several national TV shows to get something done. And he remains behind the scenes, and that to me is very suspicious. People are murdered for sex and money, and we have both elements in this case as well. So I feel so bad for the family, and so proud of all of them for continuing to fight this. And I just hope that they continue to it, and justice will be served. Just keep fighting, everybody. Thank you for the call.
Thanks.
Thank
Hasn't he lost his job too, or something, or getting demoted, or
He
like
was
what are
forced
these?
to resign.
Yeah, what for? How come?
Yeah, for stealing.
Stealing what?
Air conditioner.
He was forced to resign because it created a hostile environment.
Really?
Back that before he was put on investigation for theft, inappropriate relationships, and retaliation. Matter of fact, I think the department's up to 3 lawsuits that contain him in retaliation and different inappropriate behavior and possible malfeasance.
Why was he being sued by another firefighter? Like, how'd that happen? I read that earlier. Like what?
Coworker was scared of him.
Well, no, but you can't sue for being scared of somebody. What was
the coworker had found a bullet by his vehicle one day. So I guess I don't know what was going on at the time, but that guy evidently knows a lot. In reference to that fire station, of all that activity that was going on, and he just refused to go to work, from what I understood.
But does anybody know what I was referring to? Like, what was the actual suit that he got? He either lost his job or something based on it was a suit by another firefighter. I just read that. I don't know if that was an inaccurate statement, but is that true or?
Yeah, all I saw is that he was forced to resign. I'll have to.
Okay.
Yeah, another firefighter.
Go ahead.
He saw the wrongdoings and he was not going to let it go. He was about, he stood up and said, "This is wrong. These are all the things that happened," and we, as the firemen, weren't being treated well at all. Intimidation, threats, that kind of thing were going on, and he stood up and said enough.
Kind of exactly like to go to work.
It's almost like his co-workers actually think he did something, right?
Yes.
And if they do believe that, well, let's ask. Here's something to go back from what we were talking about earlier. Then, so if they do think that, and he really was there at work, then why would they think that? See, the thing is that means there's enough of them say, "I didn't see him around here. I didn't see him." Because if he was there all day, the whole day, everything, there probably wouldn't be very many of them thinking he was involved somehow, right? But if they literally, like that other caller was saying, I don't remember who said it earlier, but maybe they didn't see him at all. Like there's a lot of people that didn't see him, and now they're skeptical of him. and believe, and then they take that with the dating somebody else, that they were separating, but he's the only one that claims, oh no, we were working things out. Maybe that told a story to those people. I'm gonna go get Blue to start barking at your dog. But hey, what do you think of that? What do you think of that? What I just said there, though, don't you think that kind of might make some sense? Because if they saw him at work,
we don't have an idea who they even interviewed.
Well, let's say his coworkers saw him at work.
Well, that's what's interesting. They didn't interview any of the coworkers until a year afterward or something.
Oh, and then of course they go, well, I think he was there. Like, what did they call? What did it? It showed that he was at work, but
a lot of the firemen had a lot to say. They felt because he had cameras all throughout the fire department. Mm-hmm. And he would watch those cameras from home and catch people talking about him, or like he just had behavior that was such that
wow.
He had something to watch out for.
Jesus.
Mm-hmm.
And also,
and they saw him with the woman.
I'm watching this interview that they're talking to his brother, the brother Brian, and on the phone call, you can see the phone call and what he's saying. And during his responses, he's doing a lot of the and then that, and
well, I do
when
that too.
When a person is,
no, I'm just kidding.
Well, I do too. I mean, when we're talking, we have normal conversations, and we're trying to express certain things in a certain way. But the way he is talking, after every single word is and then it's like he's trying to come up with the answer to the question that he's being asked.
Right. Like he should just have the answer immediately on some of these things.
Right.
When's your birthday? Let's see.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, that call with that probation officer, when that probation officer told him, I'm sorry to hear about your wife, anyone, at that time should have broke down, started crying, but no, he just skipped right over that, and went into the purpose of why he was calling, to prove to the sister that he made that call. Come on, you're trying to cover up your tracks.
Well, I don't know if people should always cry all the time, but I mean, I see what you're saying. If he called and didn't even respond to the, hey, sorry about, I don't know what call you're talking about, but I'm one of those people that everybody's not the same all the time like that. Like, they might not cry at every single thing. I can tell you that his look.
He was on a mission. His
look on his drive is different.
The reason why he made that phone call was because to prove to the sister that he was not lying, that he did have that conversation with him.
Right, but when you
and that's what it was all about.
But I wouldn't put the part in about him not crying, because that takes away from the real part of the argument.
Yeah, a lot of people handle death differently, whether they're in shock, things like that. But the way I'm looking at it, and the way the conversations are going, and the answers, and what happened, and all the steps that were involved, I wouldn't put it past the fact if the husband actually put the brother up to doing it. What are you talking about?
Okay, so in reality, the only thing the GPS that he had on him was just for the alcohol. Is that correct? Because it wasn't for a location for him.
They didn't even have the alcohol part turned on.
I hate to do this, guys, but I have to hang up. I gotta get going here. But
okay.
I really hope they find out everything, and my condolences to you and the rest of the family.
Is this okay? All right. Who's
Good night, Gray.
See you later.
All right, you guys.
Right,
stay safe, and God bless you all.
Thanks. Yeah. How many? There's 6 people still on the line here. Is there anybody here that hadn't asked their question yet?
I haven't.
Okay, what's your question? Sorry.
This is Stephanie.
Stephanie? Oh, okay.
I was just waiting my turn patiently.
Stephanie.
Okay, the guy that Stephanie Case.
Okay. Yeah, go ahead.
The guy that showed up on the surveillance at home that she thought was probably stalking her or had been following her, it was said that she found cigarette butts and stuff. Excuse me, I got a cold. Has he in any way been identified and questioned? And, he may have a lot of answers, but her husband could have put him up to some of this or something.
Yeah, he was the guy with the red shirt, right? Yeah, go ahead.
I think they did question him, but I don't know. They don't tell us anything.
Right.
But I know that they did discover who he was.
I think I do have.
Good. I didn't know that was my question.
Like, I think I have
I'm sorry, Gray.
I think I have a picture of him, just kind of like part of. Is this the guy? Right? I can barely see. I know there's a better shot of this, but that red shirt right there, right? And this is their garbage cans right by their house, right? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because wasn't it another time she had watched the mailbox and he was out there or something?
Oh, here it is. This one. Right there. You can
that was on, I think, Crime Watch Daily or something, where she had stated that she had walked to the mailbox. And I'm like, he's either been put up to this, and I felt like the animals were probably tortured because they knew the love she had for the animals, and they made her watch as they tortured the animals to, like, just mentally torture her.
I hope not.
I hope not either, because we do love our fur babies, but I do hope y'all get the answers, and there's so many people behind y'all.
Thank you.
You're welcome, and God bless, and
Stephanie.
prayers and love from South Carolina.
All right.
Thank
you.
You can listen to Plays the Thing.
Hello? Who's this? You got a question?
Hello?
Yeah.
I'm hanging up.
Okay, see you later, Stephanie. Thanks.
All right, bye.
All right, what was your question?
I guess I really don't have a question. I'm a former coworker of his.
Oh.
Okay.
And
yeah.
I just want to tell y'all that I don't want to see y'all give up on this. Y'all need justice for what happened to Nan. I'll tell you my opinion first. I really thought that she might have committed suicide, but she didn't. She was murdered. She was murdered by him. That's what I think. I just think he done it, and I'm just scared he's gonna walk away scot-free.
Why do you think he did it?
I just the more I hear and the more I see, and the things that I saw when I worked with him, as far as the type of person he was.
Can you pause for a second? Hey, listen, if you call the show, do like they say on every freaking radio show ever, is turn down the audio on the video, okay? All right, and there's another person on the call here, but when you call in, don't start speaking right away. Wait till the people are done asking their questions or something like that. Then we'll get on to you. I'll ask, hey, is there anybody here that hasn't asked their question yet? Okay, but turn down the audio so it doesn't start blaring in the background like it just did when you just called in. All right, so continue on with what you were saying right there.
Okay, I'm on my cell phone, so
that wasn't you. It wasn't you.
Oh, it wasn't me?
Yeah. It was whoever called while you're the coworker, right?
Yes.
Right. Yeah. It was somebody called while you were talking, and I added him to the call, and then all of a sudden you heard this second show going on in the background, about 5 minutes. But so how long did you work with him for?
20 years.
Wow. Did you see anything when you worked with him that? I mean, just being honest here, like that was a little off during that time, or was it always he just seemed like a normal guy?
No, he was never normal. I mean, for in my opinion, he wasn't. He was always after something above. Everything to me that he done was planned. Every action he took, everything that he said, everything that he done, just, setting himself up, either getting some dirt on somebody or going to put this in his back pocket and use it later. You know, that type of guy.
Very, very calculating and manipulative would be the way to do it.
Yeah.
The way he got his position was calculated. Whoever he could take advantage of to get a better position for himself, he did it. He knew how to do it, and he did it well. Very manipulative. He could sell a drowning man a glass of water any day. It's fooled so many people, like myself. You would believe that he was innocent, but just his past speaks for itself.
You're very much correct. He's the type of person that you can introduce him to 10 strangers that never knew him before, that heard about this case, and 9 of them would think that he's innocent, and they would feel sorry for him and probably give him some money. That's just how good he talked about stuff, you know, and that's the way he made himself. That he's just a very manipulative person.
Wow. Okay, this is interesting. A different angle I wasn't really expecting. Some coworkers to call in.
If you go on, there's more than one inappropriate relationship at that fire station. And that's they've spoken about it, and and from what I understand, everyone is going to the sheriff's office with it. And why that's not enough.
Most of the guys have ended up speaking to the sheriff's office numerous times, the fire marshal's office. I know I was interviewed, spoke to the detective twice. I spoke to the fire marshals once. I haven't got a call from the FBI or anybody, but people say that I might eventually. I really don't know, But I
hope that there's an upcoming there will be a sheriff's election. I think it's 18 months from now or so, and hopefully with people running for sheriff or the sheriff, this might could bring something up about this. Maybe a little more interest in this case or something. That's kind of what we're hoping for.
Yeah,
Semblance.
Well, why don't you guys ask this guy some questions? Wouldn't that be? It sounds like a pretty interesting connection there. Or did we cover?
Yeah, questions. We have. I don't have as many. I have a lot of answers. I believe more than questions.
That's me. There's so many things that I ask away. I'll answer. I don't really.
Who are as far as any support from the fire department or coworkers? And I wish that some of the investigative reports could have gotten that angle from what the people that were around him the most, the coworkers, those type. What did they think about him? How he did not have support from coworkers in the beginning. Yes, everyone was very sympathetic to what had happened as far as donations and financial. People were dropping off money for him, and he 6-figure salary that never stopped, and to accept the donations was sickening to me at the time. And no headstone, very minimal reward, and that came, I think, pretty much after seemed like he was forced into putting up a reward. He brand new, a lot of spending. Has anyone brought up the spending?
Yeah, the life insurance. What about that? I was told personally.
But sadly, what you're saying is the fire.
Hold on, there's
fire people.
Well, let me. I want to interrupt here because there's two guys that are talking.
Okay.
Who are the two guys? Like, how are you related to this? And one of your mics is really low. It's hard to hear you. Not the guy that was the coworker, but who is the other person? I want to get this all sorted out here. So who's the other?
Yes, this is Tom. I'm a current employee.
Okay. Okay, good. And then the other one was the ex-employee, right?
Yes, I am a recently retired coworker.
Okay. All right. What were you trying? You were saying something, but it was so quiet that somebody else interjected.
Oh,
Yeah.
I was just mentioning, like Tom was going along with talking about the spending, and I was talking about the life insurance. Like, he told me personally that they decided to not have life insurance, and then later on I found out that he got life insurance. He allegedly found some life insurance that he forgot about that he had on her. You know, that's just so weird. You're not going to forget about life insurance you have on somebody.
Right.
You know, that strikes me.
How much was it for?
Way...
Oh, wow. I forgot about that $1 million life insurance I had. Yeah.
Yeah. You just don't forget about paying a life insurance bill once a year or quarterly or however you pay it, you know. It's like he's setting the stage to tell people, oh, I didn't have this, I didn't have that, I didn't do this, and now all of a sudden, you know, he's living the life of Riley, you know.
Right.
But instead
How
of
about the tours?
investigating this case, we ended up going to the fire department and investigating what was going on at the fire department, which distracted from investigating on this case.
Yes, they turned everything around.
They got sidetracked. The fire people left this fire spot and went to the fire department and did whatever the complaints were instead of looking at this case. And it's very upsetting. They missed a lot of time because of the complaining and all of the things that came out about the fire department, not about the murder, not about the house fire, but, oh, he did this at work and he did that at work. It was too late for that. Someone was dead, and she did not become first. She was no longer first in the lineup. Suddenly, it was the Fire Department 12 that was more important than any investigation, in my opinion.
I don't believe the sheriff's office had nothing to do with any fire department investigation. The sheriff's office was investigating. The FBI, what happened at Fire District 12, was not investigated by any law enforcement agency. The FBI, the sheriff's office, the fire marshal's office, that did not impede their investigation whatsoever.
Here, let me explain something that is part of the law down in Louisiana from what I was told. The fire marshal and fire department had to make a determination for certain things to be done by the sheriff's office. And they got pulled away to investigate the complaining that was being done about the things he did at the fire department, not at his house, not killing his wife.
Completely incorrect. The fire marshal's office was not pulled away to investigate anything at the fire department. They have no jurisdiction over what happened.
Air conditioners being gone, and they weren't.
No, ma'am. That was an internal investigation done by a human resources department and an attorney. No law enforcement agency had anything to do with the investigation at Fire District 12. It impeded nothing. If anything, it helped bring out information that the sheriff's office took. The sheriff's office took the investigative report that was done there and took it as evidence to help with the investigation. It brought out many people who saw it. It did not impede fire marshal, sheriff's office, FBI, district attorney's office in any way in the investigation of the murder. It was a side investigation that the taxpayers ended up paying for a human resources department, and an attorney did the entire investigation on his behavior at the fire department, which was then turned over as evidence to the sheriff's office. So it didn't impede anything, it helped anything. So please get your facts straight. I've lived it. I have lived this for the past year. I'll tell you something.
Yes.
Since July 14th, there's not been a day go by that I don't think about that woman and what happened here. It has affected me personally, and it's affected my life. So when you come on a show, please get your facts straight before you start.
Is there a reason you're
yelling? I'm very upset. Yes, I'm very upset right now. I have gone through this, and I haven't gone through a smidgen of what this family has gone through. And it's a terrible thing. It's affected so many lives down here. It's horrible.
Affected a lot of lives, but it should have been that the air conditioning and all the other things were investigated after this murder was solved.
Right. Well, how far have we gone with this solving of this murder? No. Yeah. I please wish you'd come down here.
All of that was
Wait,
about
hold on a second.
firemen were
What's the big deal?
about,
No, but what's the
hello?
have the sheriff.
Hello. I want to take back the show here. Well, so what's the negative? Why are we getting a negative vibe here? Like, what's going on? Aren't you on the same side in the conversation? Like, what's...
No, the point that I was trying to make was that all of the complaining that went on about the fire department, that could have waited that distracted from this investigation.
Oh,
There are a jillion things that never came out to the media that were missed because instead of them investigating Nanette's death and the fire that this woman died in, they were investigating air conditioners, how many affairs he had, and who did this and who did that.
Yeah, so now let's hear from an
sheriff's
employee that was
department.
there at the time. Okay, so what do you
Can I say something?
Yeah, well, you need to wait.
Can I
We're
say
talking.
something, ma'am?
Okay. Yeah, go ahead.
Listen, first off, let's just clarify some of the stuff, okay? The fire that happened in another fire department's area where he lives. It was not Fire District 12 fighting the fire.
But it was the chief's house.
Okay, I know he was the chief, but this is what I'm trying to tell you. He was the chief. He came back to work, and then everything was in disarray because he was coming and going from our department. He was there. He wasn't there. He was the chief. He was going to have lunch with his girlfriend, I guess you would say, coming in and out and the other. So these guys at District 12 are the bravest guys in the world, and there's one or two of them that know who I'm talking about that are the bravest guys in the world that never let this die. The only way we could help the situation with Nan was to keep everything stirred up at District 12, to keep him being under investigation so we could force people to do things, because the way it was going, he was just riding the sympathy vote from everybody, and us guys at District 12 were feeling sorry for him, and then all the public was feeling sorry for him, and the poor pitiful little guy, he's the one probably killed his wife, so let me
ask you a question while you're saying this, if you don't mind. Let me ask you a question. Didn't the chief get rid of the attorneys? Wasn't he instrumental in getting rid of the attorneys that are helping the fire department guys to bring out all this stuff? Wasn't the attorneys that were representing the firemen in this complaint the same attorneys that the town got rid of to save money?
Let me give you the backstory to that. Okay, when that stuff was going on, we had a different chief that retired. Okay, Steve was in line to be the chief. So these other two guys, the attorney and another guy that was working for the department, really didn't want Steve to be the chief. So Steve had to twist everything around to get some dirt going, to get rid of these other two guys so he can become the chief. Okay, that was the kind of the twist, like to get rid of the and that's part of the manipulation here, because he twisted all the guys against the chief administrator, I guess you would say was his title. He twisted all this around and gets everything in disarray. And his claim to fame, Steve's claim to fame, is to keep everything in disarray so he can kind of step in and be the old hero. And I did this, and I did that, and I did this, and I did that. That's a total separate story from going on right now with the Nan thing. But the guys at the department was seeing a lot of this stuff, and no matter how many times we might have said we think he killed Nan, we had no proof. Nobody has no proof at this point.
Exactly.
But the only way
thank you for saying that.
Steve, the only way we can get back at Steve and help the family is by keeping the fight up against him for the wrongdoings and showing the character that he had and what he done at the department to keep it so screwed up that, this is the type of person you're dealing with. If they would have sat back and not said anything and let him just go, he'd still be the chief right now, and people feeling sorry for him, and he would just be trucking along.
I just wonder though, and I appreciate everything you're saying. I just wonder, though, if he was still in a situation where he could be watched, if the pieces would show themselves. And right now, he's not being watched. He's free to live his life in this big, new, beautiful home with all of the surroundings that he wants, because he received a lot of money from being cleared immediately.
Oh, yeah. Yes, he did. And that's a hard thing to follow.
Well, I hope that it works out that way. That what you're
Well,
saying.
this
I hope
what
the
I
way
hope.
that you're approaching it works out to the benefit. I pray for that every day.
God
I
gets
really
evil
do.
people. God gets evil people, and he will get his own. As he's stewing in his own mess and dealing with his brother and all the other mess and his son and all that, you know what? He's going to get what's coming to him. You know, and it's a shame.
I hope you're right.
That he's
I pray
he's
for that.
throwing a pension. Now, look, I'm mad as a hornet with it, because pension money that I put in to my pension plan, my retirement, is paying him a retirement salary right now. Because if you know the whole thing, he went out sick, and you have sick time that you can use. So he used sick time, and the department let him use sick time. Then he got suspended, so they let him do suspension time, vacation time, and personal time to get his years up. Because the more years you work, the more money you get for retirement. So he manipulated that whole system.
Well,
So
then I'm glad that you guys are working so hard to prove him. That's all I can say.
Yes,
Thank
ma'am.
you very
I mean,
much.
we are not going to stop the fight. You know,
Well, I
mean,
appreciate it then. Thank you very much for explaining your thoughts on it. It's great.
Well, thank you. Thank
See
you
you
for
later.
listening. Just seeing.
I did. I heard you, and I it was good for me to hear it. I've been waiting to hear it. I appreciate it.
Okay. I don't know.
Hello?
Hello. Do you have a question? Do you have a question?
Yes, this is Amy. I'm Nan's sister on her mom's side. And I grew up with Nan and shared a room with her for almost 20 years before I got married. So, you know, I rarely call into anything. I don't do Facebook. I don't do any social media, anything like that. I'm a faithful girl. I take it in. I listen, but I pray every day, and God's the one I go to, and I know his justice is above all ours, and we're all trying to understand this, and I'm going to be very careful if anything I know or say, any questions. So, you know, I may or may not, if you guys have questions, elaborate on anything. But I just want to, first of all, the reason I called in is because I do want to thank the firefighters specifically for coming forward and being so brave. And that is unrelated. Tom was right with the investigation as far as what the sheriff's office has done and the fire marshal's done. I believe that no one has impeded the other one, that these are all people that have resources that can go as far as they want and work as hard as they want. And so the fire department, when they came forward, I believe everything they say because of being close to the situation and knowing the people, not to jump on anyone's bandwagon. So let's be clear that I'm not going to say who I think did what or anything, because I want to be very fair and so in the whole situation. But the firemen, I believe, were dead on and right on coming forward, and I believe that everything they say is true. And I have listened to this whole show, and there's a lot of things that, you know, can be cleared up, and if something can be cleared up, I will. And Steve, on some of these other shows, you know, my sister Wendy and myself grew up with Nan down here in New Orleans, in Louisiana, and I'm so glad that she was very close as an adult with her father and her sisters and her cousin Gina. And I remember Lori from high school. We all went to the same high school. So I'm so glad that Nan has developed those relationships in adulthood. But going back to growing up, and so, you know, Nan and I, like I said, shared a room, and we were all very, very close. And so I feel like there are a lot of things when Nan married Steve that she became very distant. And it wasn't, when they show these shows, Steve apparently, you know, has said, because that first show, Crime Watch Daily, I believe, had called me about interviewing. But then Steve found out that Wendy or myself may interview, and said he wasn't going to do it, apparently, if we did it. So Wendy, we all have our ways of doing things, whether right or wrong, and I really don't, you know, like I said, it doesn't matter to me, opinions and all that. But, you know, Wendy does do Facebook. She's a lot younger, and she chooses social media. And that's fine. Not saying that's right or wrong. That's her way of doing things. A lot of good has come out of it. So I can see, because she's posted some things that Steve may have not liked, or his family or whatever, and she would be a threat. I've never once said who I think did it, who I think this or that, to anyone other than concerns to officials. So, you know, that's in my personal life, everything, you know. People have asked me, and I will not say, because I know that God ultimately will reveal that in time. But I don't know why he would not want me on the show, other than there's things that I would question that were said on these shows that weren't quite the whole story, or maybe quite accurate, such as on the Crime Watch Daily. This would be a question that I asked Steve to his face, when he's saying that he's kind of breaking down at some point, and I don't remember his exact words, but he acts as if the firemen were making a screen, so he did not see my sister's body when it was picked up. Well, that is accurate. The firemen did make a screen in their bodies, because I was there until she was picked up and put in the coroner's van. I wouldn't leave. And the van drove away, and that's when I left. It was about 9:34 at night. He was not there at that time. Now, I've confirmed that with my brother, because my brother brought him to the police station earlier that evening, starting to get dark, and the detective came around and said, Steve needs to go to the police station. Who would like to bring him? And I said, well, I'm not leaving. So my brother brought him, and my husband stayed, my daughter, and her boyfriend. We were the 4 family members there. When the firemen told us they were going to make a screen, I assumed that was going to be with a tarp of some kind. Never been to a fire like this. And but it was not. It was so gracious and so sweet, and it's something I'm sure they do. I didn't ever see this, but they stood there for a long time, and I could see, because it was night, and there were lights, and there was equipment, and there was saws of some sort, or some kind of machine, probably to get most of her, as much as they could, up into the body bag. I saw the body bag being put in the coroner's van. It looked like there was some weight to her, but Steve was not on the property at that time. He was gone, and my brother confirmed that. Then they went, I believe, to his mother's house. So he did not come back to the property. So when he chokes up, and so those are things that look like, yeah, it's sad. Maybe he knows the firemen always do that. I don't know, for the family. So I'm not sure. Also, Nan, he did not just walk into his place of work and ask for a job. He knew Nan beforehand. And, you know, it wasn't just that they met and then all of a sudden they just fell in love and then they ran off and got married. It took a while, and there's a lot of particulars with that, but that is one thing that I would question him. You know, that's not true, that she just walked in your office and it was love at first sight. So there's a little bit more, whether it's true or not. Maybe that's the wrong way to say it. There's more to the story. So those are the kind of things that I would like to clarify. And, you know, if there's any other questions, as far as the video, I did see the video. I'm the one that was on, I guess, TV or something. I never watch it. But I do remember saying that it was grainy, because it is. And you cannot tell, even the FBI couldn't blow it up, I don't think, and tell 100% who it is.
That's just
but
what I
believe
in.
that
I just typed that
may
in,
be
actually.
from.
I was just saying that.
What?
Well, my comment I just made about 5 seconds before you just said that was, yeah, the police won't show the McDonald's surveillance, probably so they can maintain that the person in the car is Nanette and not deal with people saying, how the hell can you tell from that distance, right? See, that's what I just wrote, because they don't want...
Well, I'm not going to say it's from Walgreens. I don't think it's the one I saw is from Walgreens.
Well, wherever it's from, they don't want people to look at it and go, wait, how can you conclusively say that's Nanette, right? That's the thing. They can't conclusively say that, right?
They can't. Nobody could say it. Now, if you look at the car and you look at her, you look at the angle it is, no, you're not going to be able to tell.
Okay, but
So
before I don't want to
you
get off
can-
this topic. So let me ask you something. I'm going to go to McDonald's really quick. What could you see when you were looking at the surveillance footage? What could you see of McDonald's? Let me know. I'm looking at the map right now. Like, what part of McDonald's could you see when you were looking at that?
It looks like it's from like the top of McDonald's on top of the building, and you're seeing her car at the
Okay,
drive-thru.
but what?
It's so high up, you can't see her.
Okay, but can you see the parking lot and stuff in front of that?
Yeah.
Okay, so it is. So Walgreens could be it because that's where that is. It's like right behind it. There's parking lot, and then there's a McDonald's, and then a street behind it. I'm just trying to see if we.
Well,
can...
I'm not going to elaborate on the video. I'm just going to
Why
say
not?
that it was enough that I could see close enough in the angle that, you know, I mean, it
Well,
was
why
a
can't
person
you
moving
elaborate?
around, and it was grainy.
Why can't you elaborate? Or you don't want
Because,
to? Or what?
yeah, I'm not going. There's things that I feel like need to be kept close to the vest for, you know, official reasons. So it doesn't matter because, you know, the public.
See, now you
It's
sound like
natural.
the. No, but hold on.
I'm-
But now you sound like
you-
the police. No, now you sound like the police.
Yeah.
I don't think there's any reason
Uh-huh.
at all that we can't know or see that. Okay.
Right.
So I'd like you to
Well,
tell
then
us
now
what you
have to
saw
make that
on this-
decision.
Well, no, but you
that's
saw
not
it. So
me. But yeah.
Well, so
I'm
don't
not,
listen to
and
them.
it doesn't matter to me what people think about whether they should or shouldn't, because there's certain things, you know, I don't know, and that's
Well,
a lot.
well,
you know,
what we do on this
that's why I
channel
don't
is
do
we
Facebook
share.
and
Well, on
stuff,
this
'cause we
channel
get
we
into a
on
tangent.
this channel we share information. So if you're not, you know, able to do that, we're gonna have to move on to some other callers. All right.
Yeah, I'm
that's
not
what we
gonna
do.
get,
Okay,
you know,
all right, all right. Well,
if there's
that's fine,
things
that's
like
fine,
that
yeah.
I shared, and it's okay because I know how all this kind of goes. But
Yeah, well, I think it's lame to do what you're doing.
want-
I think it's lame to do what you're doing. To come onto a show, talk about, oh yeah, the surveillance footage, and not tell us what you
It's
saw. on
okay
it
if you think
when-
it's lame.
Okay,
It's okay,
I know.
'cause I told you what I
I know it's
saw.
okay. I know it's
it's
okay.
okay.
That's why I'm saying
But the firemen, I appreciate you guys.
Okay, all right.
So, yeah. So you may or may not, and it's okay if you like or don't like, and voices and size. But the fact that there are a lot of things that don't make sense. You know, I leave emotion out of it and use my head. There's a lot of things that don't make sense. So those things, I've told you a couple of them that were not allowed to be said or elaborated on. Those are the things I will elaborate on.
Right.
And so whether that's what you guys want to hear or not or whatever, eventually those things will come out of the video. But the video in the whole thing, there's a lot more about character. There is no headstone. And the family was the one, we've been asking that question. Why is there a Wrangler Jeep, or why is there a motorcycle or in a big house and no headstone, a paper headstone on Nan's grave? So, those are things that, are just signs now. We can't go back. I was there for the fire. Of course, my mother was in law, and she did a lot of law with fire and safety and things like that. So we knew at the scene, I told my brother, it was set, obviously, and with some kind of accelerant, and I didn't think that she was, I thought she was incapacitated beforehand.
Right.
So, those were things at the scene. When you look at these videos, and now when we come back on the girlfriends and the multiple things, those are the things, and they will all come out eventually. If they're meant to be, they will. There's a lot of things that are speculated on that you have to realize too, that these officials can't come out and they can't tip their hands on a lot of this stuff. So, there may be some things that I'm going to trust in the system, and I'm going to do all I can to help.
Yeah, well, you just didn't, though. Well, you just did that. You just didn't do all you could do to help, because by telling us what you might see on the surveillance footage yourself, it might jog somebody's memory or make somebody think of something, but instead it almost seems like you didn't really see the video, and then you're just trying to claim that because I can't really see anybody not sharing
when you see the video,
that
it's grainy. So
Okay,
I'm not
all right.
going to make up what I didn't see.
Okay, well, it's grainy.
Grainy.
I
There's
agree
a
with
person
you.
moving, and they have dark hair.
Okay,
That's
great.
what you see.
Right. So what made you say, well, I can't say everything? I've got some really inside information
No,
that I
not
can't
say
share.
because this is why people like me do not do Facebook, because I'm not going to say everything, not about the video. The video, that's what the video is. But about other things that I've heard you all speculate on here, and maybe this and maybe that. That's what these shows are for. So I came on because
we speculate on facts.
I want you guys to know, the few things. That's simply it. The few things that were not said on the shows. Other than that, say what you want, think what you want. It doesn't matter, because all in all, the Lord knows, and one day it will come out. But when I heard, because I listened about people coming on and talking about the firemen and how it was impeding, it's not. And that did not at all. And there's a lot of truth and a fact to what they have done, and they've tried nothing but to help us. And they're not embellishing. They're not coming out to jump on a bandwagon or anything like that. So that part I wanted to make clear. As far as my sister goes, there was a lot going on over there that I think she chose not to share with her home people here close to her. She wanted to protect us, I think, and she just didn't, at that time, wasn't ready for some help. And she knows Wendy and I were here. We were a lot closer, right in proximity, and she was probably getting to that point, honestly. And so whatever happened from that point, it's awful. I can't say whether she was alive that morning or not. Only God knows.
Right.
But I have seen a video, and I know that. Do I believe that my sister went and killed her animals, and shot herself somehow? No, I don't think that. That'd be a lot to do. And then let's say it was her at McDonald's. She thinks I'm just going to go, have my last meal at McDonald's and then going to go do this. So I don't know. One day we will know, and it may be in the next life. But as far as now, there are some things and some discrepancies on those videos, those shows, that I just wanted to clear up. And I thank you for your time.
All right. Hey, thanks for getting some info out there. But we really wanted to know that.
Thank you,
a little bit
Amy.
about the surveillance. But thanks for calling in. All right.
You're welcome.
All right. Well, let's see. We could have had information on the surveillance, but we don't have it now. Is there anybody else on this line that wasn't able to answer the question? Ask a question that they're waiting to ask? Because I know I've been adding people, but they're being cool and not talking right when they come on. So, like, hey, everybody, and then interrupting everybody. Yeah. All right. Well, I hope you guys don't think I was too mean there, but I just really felt like, wow, I need to get. It's weird because now we got a person who's even seen it that sounds like the police. Right? It's like, let's just hear what
Well, what
you
I
saw.
don't understand, if you're going to watch the video surveillance tape, wouldn't you ask them, where is this location? You know what I'm saying? Guessing or saying it is, it's not, Walgreens? I'm a little confused here.
Yeah, I know Walgreens came up at some point, but I don't know if they had Walgreens and McDonald's, or I know they only are showing one video to the people that have seen it. But
I mean, you'd think all of these buildings here would have surveillance, like even this one.
Right.
Well,
McDonald's
especially
for
drive-through.
sure.
They do have a camera through the drive-through, and the main purpose
Right.
of the drive-through
Yeah.
camera is to, basically for the employees, you know what I'm saying, and the activity on the outside drive-through. And the reason for that being is called all the incidents that occur at those restaurants, especially with the employees stealing.
yeah, I mean, there was just that video that came out and went viral last week of something happening through a McDonald's drive-through window. Someone
Right.
attacking somebody through a window, and it was very clear video.
Yes, they do
So
have
it's
very clear
frustrating.
video surveillance. So what they're pulling is just off the top of the building, you know what I'm saying? And what about the drive-through video cameras? Because I know they do have them. Have pictures of them.
Well, it remains to be unanswered unless somebody that's seen it can tell us, or we see it ourselves.
Right. Cameras are there. There's good coverage on it. I don't know what seems to be the problem with that.
Yeah, I'm just kind of looking at. There's a Chili's over here. It's pretty close too, but looks like there might be a camera at the top there. Like you can see this right here on the
camera
top.
into that drive-through.
Like there's one up here, but I don't know if that's a surveillance camera. It's kind of pointing in a weird angle, but I'm just trying to figure this out. Yeah, sometimes you get really lucky, like in the McStay case, which Gina, for example, this is what I got to tell that part of it. This is kind of strange. Like Gina Watson, that's in here right now. I actually met her in the McStay case a long time ago, like 4 years ago, I think. And she was actually Joseph McStay, the accountant, right? Like his bookkeeper, basically, right?
No.
Or something like that. That's what my brain was remembering. It's been 4 years.
I was,
but you knew him somehow, right?
A salesperson at a waterfall company that he dealt with. But
oh, wow. How come that's so weird?
I knew him for years.
Okay.
Throughout that relationship,
Oh, that's right. But you had access to some of that information I just mentioned, though, right? Like his books or something. Because I remember we'd see it. But, whatever. I don't even remember. To be honest with you, I don't remember all that stuff way back then. I remember the case, but not some of
his
the
orders
side
and
stuff.
whatnot. Yeah,
orders. Yeah. But God, it's weird. Like you're like connected to two high-profile cases, like closely, not just sort of from.
Well, and to be honest with you, when this first happened to my cousin, my first instinct was not to go online and talk about it, and not to do a show like this, and to answer Amy, who's, she's being careful about what she says, and I agree with that, but we're at a place right now where the sheriff's department, apparently, some investigator from there is going to the Huffington Post and saying they still buy the suicide theory. We hear that the sheriff is hanging out at a Christmas party last year telling people that he thinks it's suicide. I mean, these things are disturbing to us that we don't believe this case is ever going to be solved unless we start putting some of this stuff out there.
Right, so they're not really doing
that doesn't add up.
Like you would think they might not even be doing anything at all on the side to find who did this, right? Like they're just kind of done.
You have to wonder, because some of the stuff that they've done recently should have been done back at the beginning.
Yeah. Wow.
I mean, at least they're still working the case, and I want to have faith, and I don't want to judge people that way. But I know it's a hard job and all that. But
it looks like I added somebody else, but they had their audio on. How come your audio's on? Turn down your audio and then ask your question. Now I know. You know when you're listening to those radio talk shows and they always say, "Hey, caller, you're on the air," and they go, "Please turn down your mic." It's like. Now I understand what they were talking about. They have to repeat it every single time because people want to hear it on their own voice on the radio or something. All right, but what's the question that you have? Hello.
Hey, Dylan, that's not a question. It's a statement. This is David. And Amy, if she has something to say, she needs to let people know, whether it be the police department or friends or family, so things can be put into people's heads to continue this investigation. Such as the video, I can't say, I don't want to speculate. Speculate all you need to get the ball rolling. Speculation can make things happen.
Well, she's actually seen the video, so she'd be able to say, hey, this is what I saw, and this is some of the things I thought were interesting.
Didn't say anything.
Yeah, it was.
Well, she's probably afraid to say anything because the sheriff's office won't release it, and she doesn't want to.
Afraid of what? What is she afraid of?
Well, I don't know. I mean, that's the natural way to be, is to be, like, I was reticent at first to release information that's sensitive to the case.
I'll tell you exactly who it is, and I won't be afraid to tell anybody. I'm not afraid of that.
I agree with you that the video itself should be seen by everyone, in my opinion.
Yeah. And if it's something that the police have saw and are holding it back for evidence, whoever Amy is, the sister would not have seen it anyway. True.
Exactly.
So speak up.
Yeah.
I
was disappointed, to be honest with you. But,
what did it say?
Well, maybe on part 2 or something.
Yeah. Call Amy up.
So is she the only one that's privy to this video?
No, we should get Wendy on next time.
Why the rest of the family didn't see it?
Is this Amy the only one that's privy to the video?
No, her sister Wendy saw it. I believe her brother Chad saw it.
Okay, what do they have to say about it? Are they afraid?
Steven saw it. Steven saw it, but I mean, I don't.
What's that?
We've heard that it's grainy, that they can't, that they can.
Yeah, you guys are.
They can see a woman
hold on a
with
second.
long
Hold on a
hair.
second. You guys, we have a delay here, so every time Gina starts to talk, there was a pause just before it, and then you start to talk. So just make sure that you're done, so you guys can each get out your thoughts clearly, because you're talking over each other. All right.
Gotcha.
Okay. So go ahead, Gina.
Oh, I don't remember what I was saying now.
Oh, sorry. Well, I was just.
I was saying what people had seen in the video, I guess, which was reported to us as grainy, and you couldn't really tell if it was a man or a woman, but it looked like somebody with longer hair, and it looked like a small creature was jumping around in there, or there was some sort of movement from the other seat of a small animal, perhaps.
Now, like a chihuahua.
So it sounds like a long-haired person with an animal in the car.
Right.
And it was whose car?
The red Mercedes it looks like
That
the
she
Mercedes
drove.
that she drove.
Yeah, so what we're doing here, though, is like now we're doing hearsay of somebody who said what they saw.
Exactly.
Where a minute ago we had somebody
Exactly.
that actually saw it, and we could have had a really pretty good, But maybe we'll come on another time and maybe do it. But anyways, I was frustrated by that. I'll admit. But I'm honest on my show. I just say what I think. What do you think of that?
Yeah. Cool.
All right. So
I agree.
let's see. So I don't know. Is there anything else anybody wants to add for tonight? Maybe we'll have to do another one. I thought the call-in part was pretty interesting because we got a lot of people calling in that had a different perspective and different information that we weren't really even discussing, to be honest. Maybe you guys have on the side, but we hadn't on the show yet. Right.
Well, if everyone would raise awareness and put thoughts into people's heads, I'm thinking maybe between a bunch of heads put together, they can confront the sheriff's department to take some action on some of these items. I still, for the life of me, can't understand how Steve wasn't contained for hours on end. I understand it was just a few hours of interrogation.
I wish we knew. I wish we knew what
that's
was
my
asked
point.
and what happened,
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't make any sense to me. I mean,
Well,
we've
he
been
also passed the
interrogating him for
polygraph.
Yeah, he came forward willingly to take that polygraph test.
I'm not sure I could
Like I
pass the
say,
polygraph
he's
and
not
even
guilty.
tell him the truth. So I just don't have a whole lot of faith in that, but I'm afraid I'd flunk and be telling the truth.
Yeah, you can easily.
But,
People can easily fake polygraphs. If you go into a polygraph relaxed, knowing that it's just something that it's not a magic thing. It's something that you're nervous when a question's asked, and you know that it can detect it. So then your heart starts beating funny. The thing is, if you know that that's all it's detecting, then you can just go in there and go blah blah blah. Just start talking. There was actually a tribe or something. I don't know if it was in South America or whatever, but they would have people. What they would do was, so if somebody stole something, they'd line up all the guys. They just assumed it was a guy, I guess, that stole something. But they lined up all the guys, and they'd take a hot knife, and they'd come up to them, and they'd stick it on their tongue. And if it burnt their tongue, that means they were the person who stole it, because they lost. When you get nervous, your mouth gets dry, and there's no saliva. So the hot knife would go and burn that person's tongue. But it wouldn't burn the people that it was wet, because it was just a quick little like that, right? So it didn't burn them because they weren't nervous at all. They knew they didn't do it. They were calm and relaxed, and so that's kind of the way lie detectors. I'm not trying to help people get out of them.
Oh my God! Thank you. That's going to stick in my head for a long time now.
Yeah. Sorry about that, but that's a real thing.
That's weird.
Yeah.
But cool.
Yeah. Well, it's probably pretty late over there, right? What is it? Almost 1, right? Or almost
Oh,
midnight.
I don't even know.
Almost midnight.
It's about 10 minutes to 11.
I'm in Tennessee, so it's 11:51 here.
Okay. Well, we've done this. It's been on for about 3 hours, so I was thinking of maybe wrapping up this show. Maybe I'm sure we'll do some others. I think maybe get more people in the groups, knowing that it's going to happen, and then we can have the more callers calling in that maybe thought of something. Because I think that's kind of that's where it gets interesting, is when people think of things that other people hadn't thought of, like, hey, have you tried this? And it's like, no. Wow, or you can put the whole story together that makes more sense. But it does seem like right now you're in a place where it's tough. It's almost like somebody has to say that they did it,
Well, one thing, small town alcohol, someone's going to spit up, and the truth will come out with that spit.
Yeah,
so I'd say have a big party and see what happens.
Yeah. That chimed right in with my lie detector test story with the no saliva.
Yeah.
It'll take for the new sheriff to get in before this case is solved.
Yeah.
But he was a very controlling person and had to have full control over her. I knew them both.
Wow.
You knew him?
Yes.
That's crazy. Well, somebody hung up there. So who's still on here? Is it Gina, Amy?
Did he just hang up after he just said he knew them?
I don't know if he did. Maybe
yeah, I think he just pieced out.
I think he said yeah, and he hung up, though. So at least he answered it. So,
oh man, this is getting weird. We gotta hang up.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Well, anyways, hey, listen, I really appreciate you guys coming on. It was fun and interesting. I mean, it got
Thank you, Greg.
Got a little
I appreciate
tense
you having us
here and there, but hopefully, you guys, we can do it
very much.
Would you be interested in doing it again sometime? Maybe get some, get some extra more callers. All right.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. Well, thanks a lot for calling in. I really appreciate it. All right.
All right.
Okay,
Good night.
Thank you very much. Good night, and God bless the family.
you're
and
welcome.
Let's keep seeking for justice.
Hopefully, we get some
For
justice.
Nanette.
Awesome.
Okay. All right, you guys. We'll talk to you later.
Justice for Nan.
Justice for Nan.
Bye.
Okay.
All right,
Good
talk to
night,
you later.
everyone.
All right. Bye.
Good night.
Good night.
Hey, everybody. Yeah, that almost went, that call ended like how our show ends sometimes, where you come back into the chat and there's still people talking for a little bit. I mean, I could sit there and talk to those guys for a long time. They're interesting and, it's a compelling story. But for those of you that are first time watching, hope you weren't disappointed that I got in on that a little bit, saying, hey, we need to know what's on that surveillance, because we had just talked about that earlier. And I think it's important to say so that we get to know that little bit of information that may make a difference in speculation. All right? That stuff's important. And before you leave, if you could hit that like button, I would appreciate it. And I want to thank Jay Case and Nada for the super chats there. I appreciate that. Oh, and there's Jay Case again. Right at the buzzer. I know. I'd like to talk to those coworkers a little bit more too, for sure. And it'd be cool if the coworkers would actually talk to some other people they know and then come back with even more information. But I think something is going on in this case. I don't think it was suicide. I'm not leaning that way at all, really. Okay? So, listen, I want to thank everybody for showing up tonight. Let me see if I have a shot where... Yes, I'm here. You can see my Christmas tree in the background. That little Santa Claus guy still sitting there. He's not moving. He's not moving today, all right? And I hope you all got out of the show as much as I did. I feel like I have a lot better understanding of it, the case of Nanette's case after the show, all right? So that's it, everyone. I'm not going to do my traditional flyby, but until next time, everybody, be safe out there.